and gentlemen, let's go. We ain't got no time to waste. Let's go. You are now listening to Jason Anderson, and you are in the zone.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I was just kind of planning on working the event. I was thinking I'd show up in like a waiter outfit, you know, and then not actually working it, but like sort of a James Bond type of way of sneaking into a party. Grab a serving tray, sneak around, tear off my fake mustache, and then just pretend I belong.
No, you'll be Daniel LaRussa in Karate Kid. You'll have the spaghetti spilled all over you and everything. You'll show up, you'll try to get away, and then somebody will kick your butt. And then you'll star in Cobra Kai later on.
Maybe this is the time to sort of float out the idea of me needing to just keep a running list of all of the movies that you referenced that I haven't seen, and then I need to watch them and then report back on them on the show at some point.
Really?
Do you want me to write down Karate Kid? I've seen the Jaden Smith one. You mean the Jaden Smith one?
You're in the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, a Thursday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Beards. We head up until 2 o'clock. We've got you for the next 4 hours. We'll have a little fun in the 1 o'clock hour with some sports or leisure presented by Johnny's Tavern. $25 to Johnny's Tavern will be given away in sports or leisure. You get both a leisure and a sports question right. You win $25 to Johnny's Tavern. That comes up a few hours from now, but in the meantime, between time, as my dad used to always say, Craig Stout will talk with him at 11 o'clock, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. You know, he loves the defensive side of the football, and a lot of questions for him about what the Chiefs looked like against the Raiders on the defensive side, why the Raiders were able to have the success that they did on the ground compared to the other teams that have not had the success on the ground. Does that translate to the Bills? Does it translate to any other team copying from what the Raiders were able to do? We'll talk with him about those things and more. Also, the Chiefs' ability to continue to come back in these games where the Raiders are not a bad team. I know the record says that they are a bad team. There are different 1-4 teams, like we talk about between the dash. The dash for the Raiders, it does not seem to be the same as the Commanders being a 1-4 start. Those are close losses. They're a good team. They've got good players. So being down 17-0 to that team and being able to come back, I think is different than if you were trailing 17-0 to the worst team in the NFL. And you were able to come back and like the Colts were trailing 20-3 to the Texans, and they came back to tie the game and then finish with a tie in overtime. A little bit different than the Raiders trailing 17-0. So the ability to do that, to be down that many points, to be as out of it as it felt in the second quarter, to be down 17-0, and then the comeback to happen, and Patrick Mahomes to not even get credited with a, quote, fourth quarter comeback because they took the lead in the third quarter.
Just an average third quarter comeback.
Yeah. Like that goes down as a fourth quarter comeback for Mahomes? Nope. He did not have a fourth. It would have been a fourth quarter comeback for Derek Carr. Imagine that. That would have been starting 17-0. The way the Chiefs came back and took the lead, had the Raiders kicked a field goal on the final possession, that would have gone as a fourth quarter comeback for Derek Carr.
The Royals were down 8-0 in the first inning, and Scott Barlow came in for the win, but not the save situation,
that's right.
Actually.
Yeah, that's
not true. He came in for just a hold, I guess. Just a non-save situation. They're up by 6. What happened? I don't know. I blacked out.
Yeah, so the
doesn't
starter
help your ZOUs, unfortunately.
No. The starter goes 7 innings of shutout ball, leaves 4-0. A reliever comes in, gets a couple of outs, a couple of guys on. Another reliever comes in, gives up a grand slam. The Royals then take the lead the next inning. That guy gets the win. And the starter that went 7 innings.
Thanks a lot, I guess, guys.
Yeah, cool. How's that W feel, man? Oh, it's great, man. It's my third win of the year. Oh, that's cool, man. You really earned it by giving up that grand slam and then that line drive right at the shortstop that was caught for a third out that you recorded the 1/3 of an inning. Well done,
ERA,
man.
I guess. Cool day. Oh, you guys want to talk to him after the game? No, that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you should. He got the win. I mean, he's the pitcher of record.
He won the game He won the game. So it is interesting. Like, not all comebacks are created equal, yet this team continues to do that.
Here's a movie analogy for you.
Okay.
I just don't know if you're going to get it or not.
All right.
You ever seen the movie The Incredibles? You have to. You have to
yes.
have seen The Incredibles. Okay,
Yep.
fantastic. One of the best Pixar movies of all time, a great cultural touchstone for all ages, apparently.
Sure.
Remember at the end of the movie when Dash is trying to figure out how to use his powers in real life without giving away that he and his whole family are a family of superheroes?
Absolutely. It's a big dilemma by most people.
Right, exactly. I think about this all the time. Not looking too fast. You know,
Yeah.
that's a really big issue that a lot of us deal with. But then spoiler alert for The Incredibles. It came out 15 years ago. Maybe longer. At the end, Dash is, he just wants to race. So he wants to just go run track at his school. Well, he bursts out of the block and looks like a superhero. And his parents are like, whoa, no, wait, slow down. Slow down. He pulls all the way back. He's in like 8th place. Whoa, no, hey, second. Go for second. So then he speeds up again. He finishes second. Everyone's thrilled. He's got a silver medal. Everybody, up on their shoulders. That's if Patrick Mahomes wants more fourth quarter comebacks, he's got to play for second place until the last leg of the race. He is literally Dash from The Incredibles.
I don't think he's literally that, but he
literally, no,
he's not that fast.
Literally, he is a supersonically fast 12-year-old boy. Literally,
created in a Pixar universe.
That's exactly right.
Makes
Animated.
sense. Yeah,
exists in 2 dimensions, I guess.
Well, he was animated on Monday night.
He sure was.
He was after the third touchdown to Travis Kelce. I'm here. Yeah, there you are. You're right there.
Did you hear his answer when somebody asked him yesterday about the Max Crosby little face-to-face?
The headbutt that was not a personal foul on sportsmanlike conduct. Luckily, Max Crosby didn't say anything to Patrick Mahomes. He just headbutted him.
Right, exactly. If it said anything, it would have been 30 yards.
Can't imagine if he would have said something to Patrick Mahomes rather than a headbutt.
But Mahomes got asked about that yesterday. Mahomes went, "Yeah, I kind of walked up to him. I was pretty fired up." I love that. That makes me so happy.
Yeah, I initiated the contact.
Yeah, that was on me.
So, what are you going to do? Yeah. Surprised that, shocker, that nothing was called.
Weird that a quarterback could admit something like that in public.
Yeah, well, I mean, did you say anything, Patrick? I don't want to talk about that. No, not at all.
Say anything to you?
No.
Never heard his voice before, actually, weirdly enough. Didn't even know he was a Raider.
Is he a Raider?
Yeah, sure is.
Man, Max Crosby.
2 X's.
I thought he was a kicker for the Packers. I could be wrong. I don't know. I have to check up on that.
His given name is MAXX. I checked his Pro Football Reference page just to see if it's like a nickname or MAXX.
Phenomenal
That's why
player.
he's so good. If it was just Max with 1 X, he'd be average.
Imagine if he was 3 X's.
Wasn't there a game where I think it was last year where they were the broadcasters were talking about that? And it was because he was like a giant baby when he was born.
Yeah, you're right.
I think I remember that.
No, he almost like
I don't want to know.
Almost ruined his mom. Is
Oh,
what
my
basically
goodness, really?
Yeah. He was like an enormous baby.
Yeah, I saw where you're going with that, and we didn't have to then get to the finish line. We could have just been dash and slowed down.
I almost said
and just stop. You know what? We could have ejected from the race and just been disqualified and just walked over to the water cooler and had something to drink to
nearly cleft
splash our faces.
Nearly cleft his mother in twain.
I mean, just unbelievable. This is a children's show, There are lots of kids
that makes a lot of sense.
that are listening right now in class.
He was a big baby.
A lot of teachers have this show on in class. People don't realize that, but it is absolutely true.
Do you know how big your children were when they were born? I have no idea what a normal baby weight is because I've not had any.
I think both of them were right around 8 pounds.
Crosby's first name is indicative of just how big he was at birth. He weighed in at 11 pounds, 9 ounces at birth.
Yeah, that's a 4-month-old.
His mom had already decided on a name for him. He was to be Max. And with his XXL birth size, she made him a Max XX.
Max XX.
The doctors had to break his clavicle to get him out.
This is not where we planned on starting. None of this is on the format.
This is all on the show sheet.
Stick to the script.
It is scripted
Stick
here.
to the script. Stick to the offense. Stick to the offense. Oop-de-oop, okay? You run the ball. You control the clock. That's how you win the game. Come on, man. It's 80s, 90s football. Stick to the script here, okay?
He was in there for 18 months. That doesn't make any sense.
He was born as a 4-year-old?
Believe it or not, just for clarification, what I just said was the first untrue thing I have said about Max Crosby.
It's true.
Every other thing has been God's honest truth.
Name the lie.
Just that one.
So, all of that being said, the Chiefs' comeback against the Raiders, more impressive than maybe a comeback against other teams, and we will talk some Chiefs football with Craig Stout.
Ask him about Max Crosby.
Coming up at 11 o'clock.
His mom ever considered naming him Craig Guga?
I have no idea. No idea.
The interviews are for.
The secondary may get some help, and they may need it.
Who?
This weekend. I'm hoping that Trent McDuffie is good to go. How often do we see somebody play the first week that they are designated to return? I actually don't know how often that is the case. I hope that's the case this weekend and that Trent McDuffie is out there because the secondary certainly could use some help against a good receiving core. And the Raiders have a phenomenal receiver in Davante Adams and a game plan and a strategy of Rashad Fenton one-on-one with Davante Adams didn't seem like it was the best way of going about it. And to the point that Steve Spagnuolo's adjustment was on a 4th and 1. I'm bringing the house and blitzing, and I'm leaving Davante Adams one-on-one with Josh Williams. Not Fenton. With Josh Williams.
Not even Jalen Watson.
With Renfro. Wasn't Watson on Renfro?
Yeah. Yes, but
right,
to say
but not even
Jalen Watson had
yeah.
jumped Josh Williams in the preseason, for those who may be thinking
Yes.
about that timeline again.
Right, absolutely.
This is CB 5?
Yes.
Yeah.
Without injury, it's CB4.
Right.
But yes, CB5 on the team.
On the ideal depth chart.
Absolutely. The next one would have been Lamons, and I don't know that they were going to go that route.
I don't know that he was active
He
at that
wasn't even
moment.
active in-
he,
yeah,
'cause
he was-
he missed practice yesterday, I
That's
believe.
right. So it was just simply Josh Williams, and that was the choice that Spagnuolo made because he had already seen what was happening with Fenton on Davante Adams. And Josh Williams, being physical with Davante Adams at the line of scrimmage, helped knock both of those guys off their routes to where they end up colliding. But the secondary certainly could use the addition of Trent McDuffie. We haven't seen very often the rookie growing pains. We saw it to a degree against the Raiders, but it was more of a veteran that was kind of an issue in that game. So we'll talk with him about that as well and get his thoughts on the roughing calls that are going on in the NFL and the league meetings coming up next week. And this is just a quick point because a number of other things I want to get into. But the league meetings coming up next week, and there are reports that the NFL is going to be talking about the roughing the passer call at the league meetings next week. What I don't get, and I understand it's an overreaction. I understand that, okay, people are talking about it, therefore we feel obligated that we hear the fans, and we want to then address what is going on with the fans and see if there is something we can do. But if we have many former referees that say both the Brady and the Derek Carr calls were just simply wrong, then what's the change in the rule that needs to happen? It seems like it's just simply calling the rule correctly because everybody has a different interpretation. Maybe the conversation is it going to be something that's reviewable? Maybe that's what they're going to be talking about at league meetings next week. But if you say that, no, they just got the call wrong, then what's the point of having these discussions of if there is anything that needs to be changed to the rule with roughing the passer other than a correct interpretation and other officials coming together to say, this is what I saw, and with the left arm down, it means there was an attempt. Therefore, we do not throw the flag. That is John Perry's assessment. Mike Pereira, Gene Steratore as well, like on audio, saying that is not a roughing the passer call. Tom Brady, it was not roughing the passer. So if you have officials that say, even the way it is being ruled today, that is not a penalty, what's the need for a change? So just as a quick aside with the reports that is going to be a main topic of discussion next week at the league meetings.
I got a lot of this off my chest yesterday,
Good for
so if
you.
anyone wants any more on this, you can go grab the first hour
That's
of the podcast.
Grab it!
But the real quick version of what I hope, wish, dream, don't expect is that it can be a conversation about helping the referees be better at interpreting and enforcing those rules more correctly. Again, a sky judge, someone who can tap in very quickly to make a nudge to correct something is my hope. I don't think that's ultimately. I don't know why it wouldn't get done. I don't know why we can't have full-time referees and hire one or two more. Because the most empathetic take of mine is that refs have a really hard job. It's very hard to be good as a ref whenever we all have the instant replay in 4K at home.
Mm-hmm.
They're 60 and just watching things happen in real time. Football happens really fast. I just don't know if the NFL is going to do something big enough to solve that part of the problem.
Football happens real fast, and they're paid to watch football really fast and assess it, and they're paid well to watch football really fast. Like, that is their job to do that, to get it right. And also accountability would go a long way. I don't think it would change the fact if, Falcons fans or Chiefs fans, Falcons fans especially because they end up losing the game, automatic first down on that play. Chiefs end up winning the game, so not as much insult to injury for Chris Jones. As a team, maybe Chris Jones specifically with losing a sack, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery. Those are pretty nice stats to put on his resume.
Totally.
Maybe just accountability to where both of it was at Jerome Boger and Carl Sheffers.
Yep.
Both those officials saying, this is what I saw at the time. I've looked at it since then. I understand where the confusion is. If I had a different angle, I may have called it differently. It's what I saw at the time. That's why I threw the flag. As opposed to, nope, that is a penalty.
Nailed it.
That's a penalty. That is a penalty.
Got it in one.
Yep, absolutely. That is a penalty. I call it 10 out of 10. That happens 10 times to any quarterback. I'm calling that is roughing the passer by the letter of the law if I've ever seen it. It is as easy of a call as any call I could ever make. You could have an offensive lineman tackle a defensive lineman from behind while he's chasing the quarterback as a hold call. The call I made on roughing the passer is easier than that one to assess.
Assault!
That was after the game.
That's actually good point. I was thinking about the Myles Garrett tweet back in the day, but the actual assault.
By the way, did the photographer specifically press charges, or it was just charges were brought to? Because it's not a civil suit.
Mick also came in yesterday to inform us. Probably not a photographer. It was a C-stand that he was holding, which is for lights, not a tripod.
Well, he was a freelancer for ESPN.
There we go. Mick came in really hot trying to get the facts on this right yesterday. It was on my eyebrows just grew back overnight.
Awesome. Love it.
Because he scorched him off.
Love it. But people that are saying it's a money grab, it's not a civil suit, right? I mean, it
should become one, though. Here's my advice, everybody. We all saw it. Devontae Adams doesn't need to go to prison for this. This is a little silly. Maybe he just should have apologized, found this dude directly, and had it a quick exchanging of funds. Let's just let this happen.
I don't think the victim is the only one that could file a police report.
Sure,
so I don't.
But
think
if you are the victim here, I think you just try to get your money and get this over with.
You certainly could.
That would be my advice.
Like if Devontae Adams calls him and says, "Hey, here's $100,000," you can go, "Hey, I'm not pressing charges. Why are you guys going to?" I don't want to press charges. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to bring a civil suit against Devontae Adams. I don't like if he was the one that then said, "No, I want to press charges for assault against Devontae Adams." Okay, maybe there is this is the first route I can take to then have a little recourse.
Yeah.
Or if his lawyer weighs in after charges were brought from KCPD or whoever, they might have seen that. But yeah, I will also say, though, that the video that shows him getting up and walking away, there was a very distinct limp by him. And he was just trying to get away. It wasn't one of those like, oh my God, what happened? He looked embarrassed, right? He looked like, what am I doing? And there was a considerable limp while he was walking away. So if there is some injury to it, I don't think he was faking like a lot of us probably would in that point in that time. And I do think if Devontae Adams had walked over and helped him up and sort of apologized then, I think everything goes away. But still, like it's still an interesting thing going on, and it's still a conversation that's taken place with the whole thing that happened after the game. So
there's a lot of info on the police report, but not knowing who is who and whatnot makes it to where I am unqualified to interpret this. That is my official decision here.
The only one I know is who the defendant is.
Correct. Yeah.
That's who I know. I'm assuming that's.
They posted Devontae Adams' address. They shouldn't have done this. Somebody got the report and tweeted it out yesterday. And
well, I mean, it's public record, so I mean, it's
but
again, I don't know.
Report blacked out, a home address.
Yeah.
It's a decision. I don't know. This is above my pay grade.
913-912-4810 is the text line. 913-912-4810. We'll hear from the coordinators today and players as well. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. I want to talk about the Chiefs' offensive line, what it looked like against the Raiders. And boy, do they have a challenge this weekend against the Bills. How do they show up? Do they bring the energy? What's missing from this team, maybe at the beginning of games, home games, maybe from offensive line as well? Is there a concern? Is the aberration the Bucs game where they were challenged all week long about, how bad you played against the Colts and it's going to be a coming out party and it's all about you, spotlight on you, pass the test, okay, you're good, and then take a step back? Are there concerns? We'll talk about that coming up next here in The Zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Took Jason an hour and 40 minutes to find the stats, 2.5 hours to tell the story.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we'll talk with Craig Stout coming up at 11 o'clock. 913-912-4810. Text line to be a part of the show. Text says Petro threw out some disturbing Carl Sheffer's stats. I can imagine.
Do you remember the Travis Kelce shouldn't be able to even wear those stripes at a Foot Locker comments from a few years back?
No.
It was 20... God, I'd have to double check
16
again.
or 17, I want to say. I remember doing posts for that.
It was 2016 or 17, and after the game, if you Google Travis Kelce Foot Locker, you'll find stories on that. That was a Carl Sheffer's crew, and it might have even been specifically about Carl Sheffer's.
So I don't know the context of it. Was he called for a bunch of Kelce called for a bunch of penalties or
January 2017 here? Travis Kelce on refs, quote, he shouldn't even be able to work at bleeping Foot Locker.
All right, so it was Kelce that said that.
Chief Steelers.
Oh, yeah.
Chief Steelers, the 2-point conversion. Eric Fisher holding James Harrison. Because he said, somewhere in there, he said they felt bad for James Harrison for falling over. The momentum is getting on our side and just gets our jugulars ripped out because the ref felt bad for James Harrison falling on the ground. It's ignorance.
Yeah.
The ref shouldn't be able to wear a zebra jersey ever again. He shouldn't be able to wear it at bleeping Foot Locker.
That was a rough one on the 2-point conversion there, that not able to block a very old James Harrison, a decrepit James Harrison. I think he had a walker at that time. Did he have a cane?
Yeah, he did. But
was he able to get around the corner to where it was even close to a holding call with a cane and a walker?
He could plant the cane in the turf and then just launch himself into the quarterback. And honestly, it was incredible to watch.
I mean, the man was actually being pushed on a stretcher.
Yeah.
Around the edge, and still
14 sacks.
And still at that time in his career was fast enough to get around Fisher to where it was questionable, but still close enough to be called holding. The man was actually dead.
Yeah.
They actually rolled
clinically dead.
They actually rolled an urn around the edge, and it was fast enough to get around and be called a holding call. So, yeah, that's the real crazy part about it, is that you had 10 guys in an urn out there on the field.
You know, like how Carlos Dunlap is closing in on 100 sacks. He talked about wanting to hit 100 before he retires and everything.
Uh-huh.
James Harrison played for 16 years. He retired with 84.5 sacks.
No kidding.
I mean, you had taken the over on that and hammered it, right?
Absolutely.
I had no idea, which is just sort of another thing of none of us saw Carlos Dunlap for roughly a decade. He just sort of toiled away far from our eyes.
Yeah.
And that dude did some stuff.
Tex says it was the frozen Ted Williams head that got the holding call.
That's right. That's what it was.
I was trying to think of what it was. Yeah, absolutely. Was it James Harrison on a gurney holding the Ted Williams frozen head?
Yeah, and then in the secondary you had Walt Disney, which wasn't covering a lot of ground. That really helped.
About Henry Ford, was he back there too?
Yeah, Henry Ford was roaming on a Roomba. They put Ted Williams' head on a Roomba and just let it run around slowly churn around the corner.
James Harrison riding a rascal.
Ooh, that's good.
To get around.
That's good. And then Walt Disney was just on a little RC car, like in Toy Story, full circle, Walt Disney.
He was actually going around the edge on one of those motorized chairs that go up and down stairs.
Yeah,
that's what he was riding around.
That's a Seinfeld bit, right?
I have no idea, but
really?
Probably is.
I think it was a Seinfeld bit.
Yes. 913-912-4810 is the text line to be a part of the show. Let's talk about the offensive line here. Let's hear from Andy Reid in Patrick Mahomes talking to the offensive line, the slow starts and protection, at least against the Raiders, from the offensive line, Colts as well. Just inability to get anything really going offensively. Here's Andy Reid in a conversation with the media yesterday talking about the conversations that happened on the sideline after the slow start.
Yeah, no, it's important, and the linemen appreciate that. Not that they don't know if things aren't going right, but that he's right there with you and fighting his tail off. I mean, you appreciate that as a lineman. and you can handle it. If that guy handles himself the right way, we were talking about his closet's clean, then he can do that. He can, put the hammer down a little bit on guys, and they respond. So, and they all know he works hard, he's competitive, he's smart, and so they respect it when, if he needs to give him a little juice.
I talked about this with Adam. There's a glass half full, glass half empty way of viewing this. Glass half full is, wow, you know what? Patrick Mahomes has that leadership. You know he does. And the respect. And as Andy Reid said, if your closet is clean, then you can go and challenge others as opposed to not being good at your job and then saying, hey, guys, you got to be better at your job. Like, shut up, man. Focus on yourself. You're not so, sharp in what you're able to do. It's like, Matt Amendola going up to Justin Tucker. Like, hey, man, you should you almost hit the uprights on that extra point there, guy. Yeah, how about have a seat there, guy? Go do some more bicep curls.
Through, Justin. I'm good, actually. Thanks.
Go do some bicep curls there, Matt. We're good over here. So, yeah, you've got to have that credibility to be able to do that, which is good. Glass half full. Mahomes can do that. Guys can respond. Glass half empty. Why would he need to do that? Why would he need to go to guys in the first quarter, second quarter, whenever it was, and say, hey, let's get our bleep together, guys. This is on you. They're running man coverage, but I don't have time to throw it. They're running man coverage because I don't have time to throw it. So if you were to give me more time, we're going to win the game. It's going to come down to you guys protecting me and opening up holes in the running game, doing what you do, get your bleep together. Here's Patrick Mahomes talking about that conversation with the offensive line.
Yeah, for sure. You got to get the flow of the game. I think the best thing about our offensive line is they're competitive. There are some guys that want to compete and want to get out there. So a lot of times I don't have to talk to them. They know. They know when they want to be playing better football. But I think at that time it was talking to them, talking to myself, talking to the whole team, and letting everybody hear it is you go out there and we got to compete. And I think there was a snippet of Trav talking. You heard them. They were bringing more energy. They were bringing it to us. And I think just having that urgency throughout the entire offense, I think that's what picked up our play as the game went on.
So, Mahomes' perspective of what happened, why it happened. Here's Orlando Brown talking about slow starts in the offensive line and what he was experiencing in the game.
Yeah, I really don't have an answer for you on that one. I think sometimes, man, football is football, you know what I mean? And it's not necessarily always easy. The flow of the game is different in every game. Obviously, the opponents you play are different. Game plans are different as well. And I don't want to say there is anything necessarily to point the finger at, but besides the fact that we got to come out how we finished in that second half.
It's easy to say, come out how you finish in the second half. They were challenged after the Colts game. All right, the Colts game was lack of a lot of things. And we talked about it that entire week of, is there a concern on the offensive line? Is there a concern for the regression that's taken place? Now, Trey Smith did not play on Monday night against the Raiders. He's back to full participant. That's good. So it looks like he's going to be fine and get back into the starting lineup and play this weekend. But he did not play. And the challenge was set against the Bucs by the offensive line, the running game, whoever. And they came out and passed with flying colors. It's going to be a coming out party, all the fun that the Bucs were having the week of. And then the Chiefs were the ones that had that fun. And then they get ready for the Raiders, and they just did not match. Because the Raiders' defensive line was in Patrick Mahomes' face. There were reasons why the drives were stalled early on, and it was because he was pressured, didn't have much time, was scrambling. Those are really good defenders that are there. And Orlando Brown saying, yeah, they, every game flow and rivalry, and they brought it to us, and we got to start the game the way that we finish. Was it last year or the year before? And I can't remember what the conversation was, but it seemed like every week the Chiefs were talking about one sort of, it might have been 2020 again when the Chiefs were saying, yeah, we just got to finish games. We got to make sure that we put games away. We're taking these leads. We got to stay foot on the pedal. We got to do this. We got to do that. We got to do this. This is how we do that. And they didn't do it. And it kept being like, okay, stop talking about it and actually go and do it. There's been one game, it feels like, where opening season against the Cardinals. Yep. But the one game where it was like, okay, the offensive line just simply brought it was against the Bucs, and then they didn't back it up against the Raiders. So why the slow starts? I don't know. But they need to get figured out. And I don't want this to become a theme. I'm hoping it doesn't become a theme to where they go, well, yeah, we turned it on. We just got to start that way. And it's not easy 17 games out of the year. Matt Derrick had a great question for Orlando Brown. 17 games, you're going to get the team's best shot. You've got to be able to match that energy.
I was just going to say, I was going to go back to exactly that question from Matt Derrick. It's something he mentioned even on the postgame show on Monday night, when he said, look, teams are bringing their best shot to the Chiefs 17 times this year. The Chiefs are going to be the thing that is what the week is about in every other market in the country right now, which is a wild thing that's still just true about this team in this city. But whenever every team is putting 100% of their efforts and focus into that game every week, it is, on some level, unreasonable for the Chiefs to be at peak performance every single week just because there's going to be some variance, right? This isn't excuse-making, but just trying to kind of understand that a little bit more as what the challenge is. I think that there might be something to the Chiefs go out there and realize, oh, God, it happened again. This other team brought all their juice. They might have been flat last week. They might be flat next week, but they're not right now. Guess we need to go get Michael's secret stuff and try to raise our level here a little bit. If it's focus, if it's energy, whatever. The word energy got thrown around 100 times yesterday.
Yeah.
That was like the theme of the press conference, and you can find different ways to create it or find it or extract it, or maybe it comes from the crowd booing the bleep out of the ref. Maybe it comes from Andy Reid being the one that brings the energy, which in the sense of how it was on Monday night, we never see it that way. Sometimes it's Eric Bieniemy being the guy that brings the energy level. Travis Kelce gave Orlando Brown credit post-game, without him being asked about Orlando Brown, I believe, gave him credit for bringing some of that energy back to the offensive line in that game on Monday. It's going to be different guys. It's going to be games where it is better or worse in the energy level discussion, but just kind of reframing that a little bit, basically through the lens of what Matt Derrick has said, which I do all the time, it helps explain it a little bit. It's still something the Chiefs have to solve for, though, because if you come out with 30% less energy than your opponent, you'll lose to the Panthers. I mean, the
NFL.
You know what? Let me not exaggerate. You'll lose to the Colts because we already saw them do that.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back and we'll talk about what I believe is a comparison between the Raiders and the Bills and the Chiefs' offensive line, and maybe something working when you have Orlando Brown and the start that he had against the Raiders, and maybe that happening again on Sunday, even if you try to avoid it, try to plan for it, that it may just be something that is simply unavoidable in comparison with the Raiders and the Bills. We'll explain coming up next here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Turned out he went 20 minutes in his opening monologue. Like, come on, that's too long. You don't need to be talking for like 20 minutes in a monologue, guy. I mean, jeez Louise. Let somebody else have the mic a little bit.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Uh-oh, what's going on? What happened? Where are we at?
Commanders cornerback William Jackson III wants out.
What? Out of what?
The team.
Oh.
Maybe Dan Snyder's got dirt on him, too.
Yeah, he might.
I can't wait for that story to never pay out.
Oh, yeah. No, I imagine that he will die owning the Washington, whatever he changes his name to next. It's so funny that for decades it was, we will not change the racial slur name of our team. And now it's like, you know what? We might change it every 3 years. Just like our quarterback and our team name, every few years we're going to totally overhaul.
I miss football team.
But you're not going to mess with me and my organization and my ownership.
I might change it to the Cowboys. Watch me.
Oh,
because
wow. Can you imagine?
I've got dirt on the owners in the NFL.
Probably the only one.
I've got dirt on at least 6 owners, and I will bleep up the NFL if they try to vote me out as owner.
Let's guess. Jerry Jones.
I actually don't know at that point, like, who all the owners are. I don't even know. I couldn't even really start to...
Raiders, or not Raiders, Ravens owner. I can't think of his name.
It is definitely Jerry Jones, Jim Irsay. Those are 2 of the 6.
Well, yes.
I mean, those are your slam dunks.
And then Jerry Jones and Jim Irsay are like, what dirt? Are you kidding me?
You're right.
My dirt's right there.
Yeah.
My dirt is in the house. People already... I tracked the dirt in with my... I didn't take my shoes off when I walked in. There's mud all over. People can see it plain sight.
Jerry Jones and Jim Irsay literally carry around suitcases, literal baggage full of dirt of their own, and they just open it up for people to look at.
That's what they... At every press conference, they just sit down. It's like Marcellus is, in Pulp Fiction. You open it up, and it's just a glow.
But it's a brown glow.
Glow of all the dirt. It is a game of chicken, though. I mean, it is a game of chicken that when very powerful people have a lot to lose, they will probably go to great lengths to not lose that power, to not lose whatever it is that they have. The more you have to lose, the farther you will go to make sure you do not lose that. And Dan Snyder has a whole lot to lose in terms of losing his football team and other stuff. So if you are other owners around the NFL, it's kind of a game of chicken.
Yep.
Does he really have something on us?
Yes.
If so, then of course I'm not going to vote him out. If he doesn't have something on us,
no.
Well, maybe I will. But why would I take the chance? I'm not trying to mess up my ownership of my team. He can own his team, whatever. I'm good over here. I'm not taking a chance that he may have that he's hired private investigators to follow around the owners in the NFL. Oh, I think that's the case.
Absolutely has. I want to know if he has dirt on himself, though. He says he's got dirt on every owner in the NFL.
Of course he does.
What about himself?
He knows all of the skeletons in his closet.
I heard that the Clark Hunt dirt is that one time he didn't have his pants ironed. He had wrinkly pants at an owner's meeting one time.
I doubt that.
I know. Look, I understand this could be libelous.
I think that's fake.
I think slanderous.
That picture. That picture was doctored.
Photoshopped, the wrinkly pants.
It was a deep fake. It was a different pair of pants.
That's right.
They put different pants on them. All right, so I was going to get into the here's the quick synopsis of the comparison between Raiders and Bills and what happened.
Who has wrinkly pants?
That's right. Orlando Brown facing Chandler Jones. Hadn't happened. So did it take a quarter for him to really know how good Chandler Jones was, how fast he was, to get used to some of the moves as opposed to seeing it on film? I don't know how often he's faced off against Von Miller. Orlando Brown's rookie year, the Broncos played the Ravens in like week 4. It's the only time he would have been on the field at the same time with Von Miller. So to me, that's the comparison of, will it take a while for Orlando Brown to really understand the athleticism and how fast and the different moves Von Miller has to where he can maybe adjust to it, like maybe it happened with Chandler Jones.
That's fascinating. And also that stat is shocking because I feel like I've watched the Chiefs play Von Miller 7 times a year for a while.
They actually have played him 7 times, 35 times in the last 4 years.
Stand up.
Kansas City. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
So what we had planned for this segment, we got into Jack Bleep of what we were going to do here.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I will hear from the Chiefs coordinators later on this hour and also assistant coaches as well. Matt Nagy will be at the podium. Joe Cullen will be there as well, who Chris Jones credits for a lot of what the defensive line has been able to do. So we'll hear from them coming up later on in the show. Right now, let's talk some Chiefs football with Craig Stout, KC Sports Network. KC Laboratory Podcast is our guest here in the Zone. Craig, what's up, man? How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. How's everybody doing over there?
We are doing just fine. We're doing better than we would have been doing had Devontae Adams not bobbled the football there on 3rd down and 1, because I believe Carlson makes the kick, and we're talking about how in the heck they lost the game. Why didn't they show up with energy? And now twice a call against Chris Jones has cost this team a game. That would be the conversation. But, you know, we're having it with a 30-29 win, so it's much better.
Yeah, it's much, much better. Maybe not for Chris Jones, but for everybody else, it's much, much better.
That is true. You know what? Maybe not for our zone over-unders, too, because Josh and I, we had Chris Jones over 9.5 sacks this year. Beards and Mick Schaefer had the under 9.5, and he has 2 right now, which means he's pacing for 7. Craig, if he had 3, he'd be pacing for 10.5. So Josh and I right now would be leading.
I'm just going to say, it's going to get there. I promise you,
think so
it's
too.
going to get there. I feel confident in the over. I think we're going to see a couple multi-sack games out of him still to come this year.
What about my under on Clyde Edwards-Helaire total touchdowns? Could he get negative touchdowns from here on out, do you think?
No, I don't think so, Josh. Okay. I think you're in trouble there, buddy. I'm sorry to say that.
By the way, you're also in trouble with your Kelsey under 9.5 touchdowns, Josh.
Oh, I sure am.
Yeah, so
oh, boy.
You need Edwards-Helaire and Kelsey to not have 2 more touchdowns the rest of the way.
I need them to be really mean to a quarterback.
Kelsey needs 3 to already go over the 9.5 we set, which, by the way, these were all DraftKings numbers in the over-unders for the season props. And you need Clyde Edwards-Helaire to not have 2 more touchdowns this year for you to lose your over/under with Edwards-Helaire total touchdowns.
I got to start fading myself.
Yeah. You've got to. There's a concern there with you buying everybody lunch coming up at the end of this season.
Yeah.
So.
I just want to say that you guys are 4 Travis Kelce touchdowns away from his career high in a season, and that could happen next week. For all we know.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Yeah, the Kelsey over 9.5 touchdowns to me was like, who's going to catch touchdowns down inside the red zone? I think they're going to have more of an emphasis. I didn't think he would have 7 through 5 weeks. That was
right.
That was not what I thought, but I thought he would have over 9.5. Craig Stout, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. All right, so what was your takeaway before we get into the Bills and some of the other, specific closer points and hone in on some things? What was your reaction to and takeaway from Monday Night Football, the Chiefs finding a way to win that game 30-29?
Well, I had a couple of takeaways, basically. The first one, there's going to be some trouble for the tackles on offense. We've got enough of a sample size now. Obviously, they played really well against Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but in every other game, we've seen some deficiencies. And that's caused the Chiefs, at least to start on offense, trying to approach the game with a little bit more 5-step dropbacks, longer developing plays and things like that to see if they can dial those sorts of things up, and then realizing that they can't and having to adjust the game plan mid-game. That's what they did. That's what they've been doing so far this season, and it's been working by and large. But it's just painful to see at the start of most of these games, so much pressure on Patrick Mahomes, so much effort having to be spent trying to chip help these elite defensive ends in the AFC West now, trying to help out these guys and not really being able to be effective. So I think that's the thing that's the major cause for concern for me, at least on the offensive side of the ball. They got to get that figured out, either by a game plan adjustment to start the thing, or they've just got to have to play at right and left tackle. I mean, it's as simple as that. So that was the first thing that happened. And then the second thing that happened is this defense is missing some guys. And you finally got to see it in the Chiefs-based defense. The Las Vegas Raiders used 6 offensive linemen for roughly 30% of their snaps with a fullback in the backfield. That is a 20 personnel look. You're not going to see that very often at all. That look destroyed the Chiefs. It was about 45% of the yards given up by the defense were when they were in those heavy looks. The Chiefs were in their base 4-3 defense. They had the run-stuffing personnel on the field, but it was the game plan, the calls by Josh McDaniels that were excellent. A lot of ISO runs, a lot of isolated stuff with the linebackers, asking these young linebackers, Darius Harris, Leo Chanel, to try and quickly fill behind what Nick Bolton's having to do, take on the fullback. It just wasn't working very well. And then on top of that, that's not your good passing defense. That's not your quality pass coverage linebackers and personnel out on the field. And they really were able to make the Chiefs pay as they tried to bring the safeties in the box to stop the run. So it was a game plan that I don't know that we'll see how much, very much throughout the course of the season, but it was certainly something that we got to see and really missed guys like Willie Gay, Mike Dana on the field for those sorts of situations.
So I want to talk about the heavy personnel and what the Raiders did and if that translates moving forward, because you wrote about that at KC Sports Network, kcsn.substack. I want to talk about that here in just a little bit. But the first takeaway you brought up there is something we finished with in the last hour. You mentioned that you thought trouble for the tackles on the offensive side and a major cause for concern moving forward. One of the things that I brought up last hour, and I have no idea if it could be just completely, totally anecdotal. I don't know what the change was or if there was a change from the beginning of the game, first quarter and a half, to the rest of the game, because it felt like maybe there was more success against Chandler Jones and Orlando Brown on that side as the game progressed. Maybe they were shading over there, maybe they were chipping, maybe they were giving them more help, running different plays so that Mahomes wasn't exposed. But one of the theories I threw out was, Orlando Brown went up against the Cardinals one time in his career, and that was back in 2018. And so maybe it took him a little bit to get the speed of Chandler Jones, the athleticism of Chandler Jones, to see it up close and personal in the game. And then there was an adjustment made by Orlando Brown. That's certainly one could be anecdotal theory. And if that's the case, then I'm concerned about Von Miller this weekend, because Orlando Brown has never faced Von Miller in his career. And that's a guy who is a Hall of Famer, and that athleticism and those moves could be wreaking havoc. So did you see something different from the first quarter and a half to the rest of the game as to if there was a change in the protection for Patrick Mahomes with Orlando Brown on the left side?
It did look like, at the very least, maybe Patrick was standing in the pocket a little more, not drifting out the back. We know that that's something that Patrick is working on and things like that. But so longer passing concepts, obviously you're going to take a deeper drop. And so that helps, not having to have Orlando Brown Jr. having to be so deep in his set, having to get all the way up the arc against a guy like Chandler Jones that has that burst, has that explosiveness, on top of the fact that he also has the technique and the hands to be able to clear Orlando Brown Jr. There's a lot of guys that we've seen that are younger pass rushers, explosive pass rushers that maybe don't have the same technique. And Orlando Brown Jr. can kind of lean on those guys or, get his hands out there and force a wider arc, force him to 12, 13, 14 yards deep in the pocket and keep Patrick Mahomes clean. Guys like Chandler Jones, they're able to read that stuff and react quickly. And, he's a hell of a pass rusher. He really is. I know that he doesn't have the stats to really back that up this year, but he has been a consistent producer for the entirety of his career so far. And so seeing a guy like that, I think that's what you got to see. And so as the game went along, they shortened up some of the drop backs a little bit. Orlando Brown definitely got better. He definitely improved in the second half. But part of that's not having to be so worried about dropping so deep so he can play some of these quicker sets, get his hands on Chandler Jones earlier, try and lean on him a little more. And that definitely wore him out. It wore out both pass rushers. The Chiefs offense definitely did. But adjusting and making those sorts of calls, being able to lean on him. He had a fantastic pancake block out in open space on Jet McKinnon's big run that kind of got the Chiefs offense going. Those sorts of things make it, you can see the confidence grow as a season. Not that it's wavering or anything like that, but you can kind of feel his confidence grow in the game as those sorts of things happen. So I do think that he helped figure some of that out, and the adjustment in the play calling definitely helped him. They're certainly going to need it because, you're turning around going against Von Miller this weekend. It's coming again. So they're going to be on the lookout.
Is it an energy thing? Because, we heard the Chiefs yesterday use the word energy like 45 times, I think, and all of the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes and Orlando Brown and, Andy Reid, Darius Harris, those in the locker room as well that Todd Lebo talked to. Energy was the theme yesterday. And, against the Bucs, they brought the energy. They were challenged all week because of how they played against the Colts, getting the season back. Andy Reid challenged the offensive line. They came out and played a great game against the Bucs. And then they didn't match the energy, especially the offensive line, against the Raiders, who were showing up on Monday Night Football and knowing that they had to bring it because they were going to get the crowd, and it was the Chiefs on the road, and they had to bring their top level, and the Chiefs didn't match that early on. So, is it a matter of if they bring the energy like they did against the Bucs early on, you don't see these adjustments that are having to be made because they just simply come out and play good football? And if that's the case, you would hope the energy would be brought as often as possible, especially in these big games. I would hope it would happen against the Bills this weekend, but I'm not sure because I really thought it was going to happen against the Raiders on Monday night. But luckily for the crowd and the Chiefs, the crowd was there, I should say, and helped them get that energy. So it would be concerning if it is an energy thing in the first quarter and other teams are just bringing it more than the Chiefs are.
Oh, I'd absolutely agree with that. And I take that sort of stuff typically with a giant grain of salt and all that. These guys are professional athletes. They know how to get ready for games. They know how to get up for games and everything like that. So typically I would take that and kind of move it to the side. But I saw the way that game changed. I really did. I saw that way that game changed as the Jet McKinnon run and then to turn around and the Chris Jones penalty. Like, that altered that game significantly from a mindset. Everything was clicked in after that for the next little while. Like, the Chiefs flipped that on a dime with the help from Arrowhead, obviously, but you got to see the change happen in real time. So, yes, I really actually do believe that the energy is playing a part of this. And maybe it's as simple as some of these guys looking at it and being like, listen, that's a 1-3 team. Like, they're a bad football team. We watched them play a bad football. You're sitting in the film room watching that sort of stuff, and it's like, man, we're going to be able to execute this concept. We're going to be able to do this in our sleep because these guys can't do X, Y, and Z. Now you come out in the game, and they want it a little bit more. Now you start to see some of that stuff slipping away a little bit. Maybe you don't see some of the execution happen in the way that you want until, basically you get punched in the mouth a little bit, and you turn around. Now you go, okay, time to go, and they flip it around, execute better, and we see some of what we saw towards the end of the half of the first half, and then obviously going into the third quarter and the fourth quarter there, the Chiefs were pretty much, they did everything that they needed to do with that.
Craig Stout is our guest, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. I'm going to talk about the defense now. But first, I want to get your thoughts on the topic that has been going on since Monday night and Tuesday and Wednesday and a little bit today as well. But the NFL is going to meet next week and have their league meetings anyway. But one of the topics that's going to be on the table for them is going to be the roughing the passer call. Former NFL officials, Craig, have come out and said it was a bad call, that it wasn't interpreted correctly. So my question is, what is the discussion that needs to be had by the NFL if the rule is okay, but the officials are interpreting it incorrectly? Maybe that is just the competition committee saying, hey, this is what you should be calling. This is the letter of the law. This is the intent of the rule, and you're officiating it incorrectly. Maybe that's the case. But what did you see on that call? And it certainly seems like it, even with people say, like, that's the rule, like former officials are saying, actually, it's not.
Yeah, it's not the rule. I mean, the entire premise of it is you don't want a 350-pound defensive. You don't want Vita Vea coming through against Patrick Mahomes, tackling him, driving him into the ground, landing on top of him, breaking his clavicle, doing something to that effect. That's the intent of the rule. They're trying to prevent injuries like that, but only to quarterbacks. They don't do it for wide receivers. They don't do it for running backs. They're obviously not doing it for tight ends, so you're not seeing any of those sorts of things implemented for all these other field players. And so you have referees in the backfield that are just looking for that one thing maybe once a game, twice a game, something like that, that they get to make a judgment call on that. They don't have the reps, so they don't get to see that, see the way that guys roll off of it, see the way that Chris Jones put his hand on the ground to try and brace himself. The only other way that he could have braced himself better would be to drop the ball that he had legitimately forced a fumble on. It is an egregious call. I think the rule stinks by and large. If you're just going to be protecting the quarterbacks, which I understand, but I'm a defensive guy, so obviously I'm going to side with the defense. If you're going to protect just the quarterbacks there, you need to do something more clear, more defined than what they've got right now. Because right now it just seems like if you touch them hard, if you hit them hard, then guess what? It's a roughing the passer call. And it's not necessarily a justification. They come up with that afterwards. These guys go and they sit down in the locker room after the game. They watch some of the replays and they go, okay, now that's what we're going to say. We're going to say it was a body weight penalty. Mm-hmm. But they can kind of blanket roughing the passer call right now and get away with it and then explain it later. And I don't like that. I don't like that is the justification, that you just hit too hard, something to that effect. That's what we're seeing in the NFL right now. And the only way to really change that would be to further clarify that, or just make it to be where basically you put your hands on the quarterback and you start to bring him down, and they have to blow the play down. Like, they just have to. And then anything that happens after that, they're just going to let it go. Nobody wants that. That's not football. Yeah. That's not how we want that or anything like that. But that's the way that we're trending, because of a guy like Chris Jones, who's been in the league for a long time and has a ton of sacks. He knows how to hit a quarterback. He knows what he's doing. You watch him. He took the ball away, and he's got his hand down because he doesn't want to land on Derek Carr either and get that penalty. If you are going to call that a penalty, or, Tom Brady getting whipped around, if you're going to call that a penalty, then you can't hit a quarterback legally anymore. And that's just an egregious way to play defense.
And there's been talk about whether or not it should be subject to replay review. I don't want it to be a reviewable play. I just want the refs to be better at their job. That's what you shouldn't have to go to replay to see that it's not roughing the passer. Just simply be better at your job and to see that, his left hand went down. And I still don't know, Craig, if they were aware that Chris Jones had the ball. I don't think they knew Chris Jones had the ball.
I don't think they did either. And and that's the part that I think with replay would have shown that. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, they're not going to overturn the penalty because they can't. That's part of the replay ruling there. But I think that would have measurably changed the way that the referee called it. Now, the thing that I thought that was very interesting is the guy that was behind Chris and Derek Carr that threw that flag. I believe it was Carl Jeffers. Yeah. He's the one that threw the flag. There was another ref that was standing, that was facing the play, that was watching everything happen, that did not throw the flag. And they met up and they grouped up, and they still came up with a roughing the passer penalty. So, that's the part that bothers me the most. I understand some guys are going to throw flags. They didn't see it correctly. You get your team together, you clarify what's going to happen there, and then you turn around and you can pick up the flag. But if you can't get it right there on the field, then, it is one of those things that you start talking about. Do you review it?
Yeah.
But if you do, you're going to see exactly what happened with the pass interference.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to go well. They're going to still call what they want to call. It's still going to be completely subjective. So you're not going to see an improvement in those scenarios. It's just a really hard situation to be in as a defensive player.
Yeah, just be better at your job. Craig Stout, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast is our guest. You wrote about the heavy personnel that the Raiders used and how it was effective against the Chiefs, and you mentioned that 6 offensive linemen plus a fullback that just was slicing through the Chiefs' defense. 45% of the yards that they picked up were in that personnel. The NFL is a copycat league, and teams that went too deep and shell against the Chiefs, it was, okay, this is how you slow down the Chiefs' offense. I don't know that teams will then just change what they do offensively, because I think playing a 2-deep is part of what any defense could institute and have out there. Is no matter what your base might be or what you believe in, you can throw out a 2-deep from time to time. Whereas if you're a team like the Bills, I'm not sure you show up with 6 offensive linemen and a fullback and say, well, we're just going to hand it off to Singletary this entire time. But do you think the success that the Raiders had would make it more likely that other teams may start to include that in their personnel packages to see if it is something that could be a weakness against the Chiefs, that they could help control a drive, control the clock, whatever it might be. Maybe not even the Bills, but moving forward, other teams, if that's something maybe that could be an issue for this Chiefs defense.
I mean, I think we're certainly going to see it the next time that the Chiefs play the Raiders. It was so incredibly successful. I can't believe that they went away from it at the end of the game when they were driving there. There's a 4th and 1 play, and they did not go with heavy personnel there. They've been gashing the Chiefs on the ground, could have lined up. Obviously, everybody saw what happened there. Devontae Adams runs into Hunter Renfrow, and it's game over. They line up in that 20 personnel. I have pretty good confidence that Josh Jacobs is going to make that happen, but I do think that we saw something there that, by the way the Steve Spagnuolo plays these under fronts, so there's that bubble on the front side where you've got the B gap that's a little bit open, and you are asking your defensive end to kick inside a little more head up with the tackle and try and close that B gap. That is a tough assignment for these defensive ends. Even these ones that Spagnuolo typically gets, these long, powerful guys that can be moved inside, that is a tough alignment. When they're a little bit outside, when they're maybe coming from a 7-tech outside of the tackle, you can get some power and some drive into that and try and squeeze that gap on the inside. But when you're head up, that tackle can get his hands on you immediately, and now all of a sudden you lose some of the power and some of the control that you can. And that's what they kept doing. They kept doing that over and over and over again. And without having a guy like Willie Gay on the second level that's going to attack downhill as quickly as he does, or on the edge where he's got a certain amount of length and he can play with some power through that 6th offensive lineman, you're going to see, you're going to see issues like that. I can see the 49ers using that. Like Kyle Shanahan's a brilliant mind. They use a fullback all the time. Bring in a 6th offensive lineman and take these shots, because it really does put the defense in a very difficult position there. That is a run-down look. You are attacking downhill. You want to keep attacking downhill. And the thing that kills the Chiefs is that the Raiders' play-action game is so good. They're able to hit Devontae Adams. They're able to take advantage of that space that happens when the play-action happens. Linebackers come up there. That's stuff that Kyle Shanahan does all the time. That's stuff that a lot of these other players, a lot of these other teams do a lot. So bring in that 6th offensive lineman. That's an install thing. That's something that you can do. You can lean on. The Raiders didn't have a varied run game. They were running a lot of ISO lead stuff and running the same play over and over and killing the Chiefs with it. So teams are definitely going to see that. I think we're going to have to see a better performance up front and a better performance at the second level there to really make teams be scared of it. But I am certain that the Raiders are going to come out the next time that they play, and they are going to lean on this heavy because it was so effective against the Chiefs defense. And it's basically been the only thing all year long that the Chiefs defense has really been beat up repeat.
You mentioned Craig Stout's our guest. You mentioned Willie Gay. Could it be a matter of getting back some personnel? Frank Clark was missing in portions of that game with illness and then left the game. But if Dana can play, if Frank Clark is healthy, if Willie Gay is back, does that change the calculus a little bit, even if it's the Raiders and what they had success with, if they try to do it again?
It should. It should. It makes you feel a little more comfortable as a defense playing in some more of the two high structures that Steve Spagnuolo wants. I think everybody can look back to that very first Devontae Adams touchdown pass, that very long 4th and short one. Those safeties are playing so aggressively downhill against the run that it left Rashad sitting on an island. Yeah. And that was by design. I mean, that's what they're trying to do. They're seeing this 20 personnel. It's run-heavy personnel, and they're trying to stop this 4th and short play, and teams were able to capitalize on it. So if you're able to stay in a little more too high, defend some of these heavier looks with the front 7, and you're able to lean on that more, that makes a massive difference, because now your coverage gets better on the back end. You can have those safeties kind of fill downhill to try and take up some of the space behind the linebackers, and you don't have to put those linebackers in such a run-pass conflict as much. You can just say, hey, tee off, you're going to run blitz, and that's what matters, because if you meet that fullback in the hole, you can stop him right then and there, and now you've got a wall, because you've got so many offensive linemen, you've got guys filling gaps, you've got this wall that's built, and that makes things so much more difficult to get you ahead of the stick. So I do think that just better execution can get them there, but they certainly need to get those guys back to figure that out, hopefully before they see the Raiders again, or hopefully before another team tries to replicate it and really is able to gash the Chiefs.
It's not a game that Rashad Fenton will put on his highlight reel and resume tape, or his agent will use to try to get him more money. It is not that. Trent McDuffie, the window has opened for him. He's practicing full speed, as Andy Reid said. They haven't activated him yet, but the designated to return, all of that stuff, he can do that. So he would be eligible to play against the Bills this weekend. Speaking of Rashad Fenton, first, to bring up this question to you, how much of a difference and an impact and an addition would be Trent McDuffie if he were to be able to play this weekend?
Oh, a massive one. So far this season, the Chiefs have utilized far more zone coverages and static zone coverages without Trent McDuffie on the field. Trent McDuffie, I realize, only played about half a game, but the Chiefs were really kind of utilizing the whole bag of things. We're using single high coverages, a lot of cover 3, cover 1, some cover 2 man. They were kind of mixing things up a little bit, implementing some of the split field coverages that Nick Saban uses all the time. Like, there was a lot of stuff just in that first half against the Cardinals. And then after that, it's been a lot more basic. Now, they're certainly doing some stuff. They're certainly playing some man. They're doing some cover 0. They're doing some of that slot drop, that Tampa 2 stuff. That is still happening, but it's not happening to the frequency that we've seen it with Steve Spagnuolo in the past. So I'm looking at it and I'm saying, okay, so they've got a lot of young guys on the secondary that want to keep everything kind of boilerplate. They don't want to get too much on their plate. They want to make sure that they learn all the installs, they get everybody out there. So I think having Trent McDuffie return, even if you've got Rashad Fenton still on the field in nickel, Steve Spagnuolo is going to feel a lot more comfortable running those kinds of coverages and leaning on some of the more exotic stuff. I know that we've gotten a lot of questions. Why haven't there been more turnovers, interceptions, things like that in the secondaries? I think because you're seeing a lot more basic coverages and you're seeing a lot more open receivers because of it, because teams know how to attack it. Now, they certainly have done a good job thus far this season with so many young players. I'm not trying to say that they haven't. I just think that we're going to see a lot more of Spagnuolo's coverage bag, basically, once we get Trent McDuffie back on the field, because he's going to trust him to run some of that stuff, maybe a little more than he's trusted some other guys.
All right, Craig, Chiefs Bills coming up on Sunday afternoon. What do you think happens, and if you have a score in mind for the game?
Oh, man. I think this is – I just don't know exactly where to place this game. Certainly Josh Allen is going to be difficult. You want to try and force him to be a runner as much as possible, as difficult as that sounds. You do want to force him to be a runner because right now he has played outrageously well throwing the ball, and certainly with some young safeties and guys that are trying to transition and pass things off, they're going to be able to throw over the top of these safeties. So you've got to do a good job of taking away the deep stuff, limiting the explosive plays, and try and force him to beat you with his legs. Try to force Devin Singletary to beat you on the ground. They still can. Don't get me wrong. That could still happen that way. But try and make him a little more two-dimensional, if that makes sense, rather than, try and limit him, keep him in the pocket as a passer. I don't know if you want to mush rush. I don't know if you want to attack him that way, but it's going to be difficult on defense, and it's also going to be difficult on offense because the Bills' defense is ridiculously good. They're stopping the run well. They've got good pass rushers. It's going to have to be a good game plan and execution week for the Chiefs to really hang in this one. I got a close one and a high-scoring game. I'm going to say Chiefs 34, Buffalo 31. Big score in this one. I think they're going to be trading blows for most of the day.
We'll see what happens. Hopefully that is the case. No matter what the final score is, if the Chiefs have one more point, I'll take it. Craig Stout, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Craig, you're the man. Really appreciate the time, sir. Enjoy the football. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. There's Craig Stout. Great stuff from him. Go to kcsn.substack if you want to check out his work. And
.com.
.com, yeah. .gov.
I'm not going to try to get the whole URL right again because I stepped in last week.
.edu. Because
.gov. Yes,
it is educational. But, yeah, you can go check that out and see the heavy personnel and what the Raiders did against the Chiefs defense and why they were able to have so much success, and that doesn't really translate to other teams. I doubt Buffalo's going to come out and go, okay, great, let's scrap what we do and just go 6 offensive linemen and a fullback and use Singletary against this Chiefs defense. I doubt that's the case. Hopefully they get McDuffie back as well. He's got 34-31 Chiefs beating the Bills. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. More Zone next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
History is a long time.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, so we'll hear from Eric Bieniemy, Dave Tobe, Steve Spagnuolo, Matt Nagy, Joe Cullen, and Dave Merritt today. Thank you to Craig Stout, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast, kcsn.substack.com. We were talking in the break about some DraftKings stuff, just personal things, and looking at MVP, as Josh Allen right now is still leading MVP odds. Mahomes is second. Hurts is right there as well. It's kind of those three as the main ones so far in the NFL, but Mahomes right there, and the odds for Mahomes are certainly much better now than they were at the beginning of the season when he was like the third or fourth or fifth betting favorite. I can't remember what it was, but I know I like the odds that I got it then versus what they are now. And we were just looking at like the over-unders we had with Mahomes as well, that the over touchdowns this year is certainly pacing in that direction for Mahomes. He's pacing for 50-plus touchdowns this year. We set it at like 39.5, I think it was. So he's been pretty good this year in passing touchdowns. And some of it has been like, in the game against the Raiders when he has those 1 yard and 2 yard touchdowns, which certainly help his overall numbers. Nothing wrong with that.
My conspiracy theory is that Andy Reid is perfectly happy to let Patrick Mahomes throw a short touchdown, those shovel passes, the underhands, all of those. Do you have the numbers from what it was in 2019? And then I will tell you something exciting about 2022.
So I have the numbers from 2018 when he won the MVP.
Yeah, 50 touchdown passes that year.
So he had 13 touchdown passes within 5 yards.
13 of his 50 were within the 5 yard line.
Yes.
Okay.
6 were within 2 yards. So a touchdown pass of 1 yard or 2 yards. He had 6 of those in 2018. 6 of them, which is, pretty good.
This year, Patrick Mahomes has thrown 15 touchdowns.
Yes.
Fewer than 5 yards out, 9 of the 15 passes.
Nice.
5 of them within 2 yards. He has 5 touchdown passes of 1 or 2 yards. He has 9 touchdown passes of 5 or fewer. And that's actually 4 or fewer because there's none that are exactly at 5. Just patting those touchdown stats and fine by me.
You know what? That's how you win.
Yep.
That's how you get that MVP. Because you know what it is? It's 4 touchdown passes for Patrick Mahomes on Monday Night Football. You know what people are caring about? Not the distance of those 4. They're talking about Kelsey and his 4 touchdowns on
25 receiving yards.
25 receiving yards.
Not even an exaggeration.
Absolutely. But looking at like last year, I'm counting here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He actually had 10 last year within 2 yards. So that's interesting. So yeah, pretty good last year in terms of that. And then from 5 yards and in, 1, 2, 3, he had 15 of those within 5 yards. So he had 25 last year within 5 yards, and he had 19 in 2018. 2019 and 20, he had a total of 18.
15 career 1 yard. 15 career 1 yard touchdown passes for Patrick Mahomes. 15.
It's pretty good. Keep padding those stats. Come on. Need that MVP this year. Need that over in the ZOUs as well. More Zone next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
That was the winning margin.
And it turned out to be whether it was the
Hold on. That's not how this works.
Hold
Matt,
on.
that's not how the math
Josh,
works. And Jason, that was not the margin. What are we talking about?
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I'll tell you what, if somebody is out hunting with headphones on, they're like, got one, where's he at?
Get me over here, bird!
Luckily, Brisco was wearing his orange jacket when he was on remote that day.
That's right. I was on remote, but I was in the middle of a forest, so it was really concerning.
They immediately look over towards you like, oh, thank God.
Well, then they hear me talking about analytics, and then they pull the trigger.
Oh. That's when they're like, all right, get him. That damned analytic turkey.
That's right. I've been called the turkey before. Not the first time I've been called a turkey.
913-912-4810 is the text line to be a part of the show, part of the conversation. 913-912-4810 as we talk Chiefs and Bills, a big one coming up this weekend. I think it'll be high scoring as well. I think both teams will end up in the 30s. What's the total? I probably should know that right now.
I had it up. I'll go find that again.
I know it's in the 50s. It's like, 53, 54?
It's a tempting number is where I feel like they left it.
I feel like the over is going to hit on that, but, you never know.
Do you feel like you generally have a good feel for over-unders? I feel like I pretty much bat 500. I don't feel like I have a real advantage.
I'm all over the board with the over-unders. Not that great. I hit the middle against the Raiders, so that was good because I had the over of 52 before the game started, and then during the game I was able to get the under of 62.
That right there is good stuff. That's good stuff, man.
That's kind of the only, like, if I would have just told somebody that, they'd be like, oh, wow, you're good at over-unders. No, not really. Not really. It just happened to be where I'm like, I don't know that the Raiders are going to keep scoring at this pace. I do think the Chiefs are going to score, but it's already the second quarter. And at halftime, they only have 10 points. Even if they were to start scoring on their possessions, what are the odds of this getting to where it's like 34-30, 33-30 or something like that, to where it's going to go over the 62.5? And I'm like, I don't know. So
54 right now on the dot is the number on DraftKings.
Okay. All right. So Brian Cook, Frank Clark, and Rashad Fenton, none of them practiced today. And Turk Wharton, obviously, he is out for the season with the ACL. But here is Dave Tobe.
Look good at practice. We're going to practice them again. It's day to day, really. We get both guys ready, and we'll make a decision probably.
How much comfort do you feel that maybe Harrison can go this week?
I feel good. He looked good as long as we don't have any setbacks. We've got to keep working him, and we'll see. We're not ready to say, yeah, he's in. We got to wait, but he looked good yesterday.
Specifically speaking, does he have his multiple step?
Yes, he's back to his normal steps.
And less swelling, no swelling?
Oh, that I can't speak to that, really. I don't know. I don't know. You have to ask Rick that one. I don't know.
Just to be clear, there's no chance that he's not coming back this year, right? There's not like, we're looking at it and there might be surgery.
No, he's coming back. He's coming back. Sure. Yeah. No question.
From the game on Monday with Matthew on the 59-yarder, take us through all that decision making.
All right.
I think before the game, I don't think he was kicking on that long. And
no.
You said before his range was.
Yeah, I'll take you through it. I'll take you through it. His range was a 35-yard line in a regular game situation. I told Andy that at the end of the half, like that situation, we would probably try to bang one, probably 38, 39-yard line, which would be like a 56-yarder. It ended up being 59, so it was like that questionable area. So Andy called field goal, so we run out there, and then Pat came up and said, I could throw a Hail Mary from here. So that's what we call the timeout.
Right.
So that's what we call the time. Well, we weren't trying to freeze Matt. We were just calling a timeout to decide, do we really want to try this field goal, or do we want to go Hail Mary? And they asked me. I said he can make this. We had the wind at our back. That's why we deferred and kicked off the other way. So we had the wind at our back in the second quarter. Going into the halftime for that particular kick. So I said he can make it, and he came through. So that's what went down.
How much does for the distance do you have to help as a guy like a different club, right? Like a different.
It's a different spot on the ball. You have to hit it. You have to. You don't hit it as high. You want to hit it a little higher so the ball drives. You don't want to get underneath it to where it's going short. So it's a little bit different, and he handled it great. It wasn't a high kick. It was a drive kick, and he put it down the middle, and it barely got in there, but he made it. I mean, it's unbelievable that he's got the record. It's pretty cool.
What was the emotion like? I mean, what did that do? I mean, because
it was a big lift. It was a big lift for our team. I mean, 20-10 is better, and then we knew we were getting the ball in the second half, so we were all talking, hey, we get the ball in the second half on offense. Let's go down and score. 3-point game. As bad as that was in the first half, it's only a 3-point game. We go down and score, and that's what we did.
There was the call I got called the defensive holding on the field goal that he missed later in the second half on the Raiders that gave you guys.
Pull and shoot.
Yeah. Is that, I'm not asking you to talk about that particular call, whether it was right or wrong. It obviously was a relief for you guys, but what's the mechanics of you got to coach guys not to do that because they look for it in some situations?
Yeah, it's everybody has different techniques that they use to try to free up guys. You can't be blatant with it. Sometimes you're going to drive a guy and subtly pull him, but you can't blatantly pull a guy out. And I think that's what they saw, and it's a call. It doesn't get called very often. We were fortunate that I got called in that situation where we missed the field goal. That was a big deal. That was a big one.
Okay, guys.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you. Yep.
All right, so there you go. It can't be blatant, so you kind of know what you can get away with there. But they saw that it was blatant, and fortunate that it was called then. How about that? They called the timeout to discuss Hail Mary or field goal, and Dave Tobe said he can make this. There's some confidence, and the wind certainly helped. He said 56 was probably where they would go at the end of the half situation. You could get to 56. Now add 3 yards. Yeah, but the wind is blowing. Okay, so maybe you can go there. Here's Spags.
Nice. Whatever Teddy's got to wear it, yeah. Listen, I got nothing open to say. We're excited about playing Buffalo. We know the challenge we're facing. Maybe we know it's the stiffest challenge we probably had to this point, and hopefully we'll be ready to match it. With that, I'll open it up.
Steve, I asked you last week how the game plan changed once you got up in Tampa big early.
Right.
So now the other side of it. Did anything change
this past week?
Once you got behind?
Not really. I mean, it was it was grinding. Look, at that point, you're trying to, from the defensive standpoint, right, is trying not to allow them to get any more points on the board and let our offense get going. No, I mean, listen, it's burr up and play ball. They scored on the 4th and 1. That was, probably a bad call on my part. Put the guys in a tough situation, so it's a quick one out of the blocks there. And then I forget how the other ones happened, but yeah, we were down 17-0 or something. Yeah. No, we got to grind away at that point. Nothing special other than stick to the game plan and let's play better.
The fact that you guys have been so good at coming back from big deficits with Pat at quarterback, does that make your job a little easier in those situations?
I'm not sure it does, to be all. I mean, listen, that's great to have, but when you're behind, I don't think our job's any different. It's not like we sit there and say, well, we're down 17-0, we can afford another 10 points because Pat's going to score. I mean, that's not I would say no. I mean, it's nice to, I will say this.
I mean, easier to stick to the game plan.
Yeah, I will say this. I know these words have come out of my mouth. You go in at halftime and we're down. Listen, guys, we just do our job. We know our offense is you know what I mean? There is that. So I think our guys have a lot of confidence, and if we can get it back to balance by us keeping them out of the end zone or off the scoreboard, that our offense is going to do something to come
So
back.
what do you tell Chris Jones now after that play the other night and your other pass rushers? Stay away from the quarterback?
No, I hope not. Listen, there's plenty of videos out there that the NFL gives us on the right way. I show them most every Saturday night, not always tackling the quarterback. It might be DPI and what we're supposed to do. It might be what we're not supposed to do and hold. I mean, there's a 2 or 3 minute session of that every Saturday night, so we're always just pounding the rules and got to follow them and do them better, I guess. I mean, listen, I'm not going to comment on it because it's over and done, but yeah, I feel your frustration.
No, I'm just wondering at what point do you worry about you guys maybe backing off a little bit?
That's a good point. That's a good point. I hope that doesn't happen.
If that's
Yeah.
a penalty, there's probably a lot of things that are going to be a penalty.
Yeah. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope we keep playing.
Steve, your run game, you obviously hold the team to 3 yards, and then
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs comes in.
Yeah.
What are you trying to address with the run defense?
Yeah, listen, I give them a lot of credit. We actually did anticipate that they were going to run some of those downhill eye runs. I thought we'd do better against them. If you go back and listen, we can always do this. I can make myself feel better by saying this. You know, the 37-yarder, if we don't miss the tackles, it's a 7-yard gain, and there was a 13-yarder in there, and there was a 20-yard in there. We got out of a gap, and if we tackle it, so then all of a sudden I do the numbers, and it's not as bad. But if you're going to give up 3, it was either our explosive runs are 10 or more, and if you're going to give up 3 or 4 of those, that's going to add up. Now, I believe, if I have it right, on at least 2 of the explosive runs, we were able to at least hold them to a field goal, which is a semi-win. Because usually those explosive plays lead to more points than that. So there was a positive to take from that. But I certainly hope we're better against the run games.
One more thing from the other night. The last play of the game, you had guys cramped, hurt, and some guys who had not been in the game at all. What's your kind of fear factor when you've got guys who haven't been out there trying to make that play, and how proud were you that they got the job done?
Yeah, I was very proud. Josh Williams over there, I know the 2 receivers bumped into each other, but Josh did a really good job of pressing number 1 to kind of help create that. We didn't blink, I can tell you that. We were just calling what we thought was the best thing to win that down at that time, and just having the confidence in the guys that were in there to execute it, and they did a nice job.
Steve, what do you learn when a team, for their own circumstances, goes to 6 offensive linemen, and how that may change?
Yeah.
In particular with the run game and maybe some play action.
Yeah, I mean, we anticipated it. We thought maybe they would do that because there's a lot of teams in the league now. Tight ends are sometimes better at catching the football and running routes than blocking, so a lot of teams are doing that. We were aware that they were coming in. We thought we were calling, defenses to address that. Didn't quite execute them like we wanted to, and maybe we've got to have a better plan on that. But that's always in the back of our mind or in the forefront. I mean, the Bills could do the exact same thing this coming week.
Coach, this may be a better question if Rashad was a little healthier, but has Jalen done enough to keep his role in the rotation, had Rashad?
He's certainly done enough to be in there somewhere. I mean, he's proven that he deserves to be out there. You said Trent, yeah. And we'll see how that unwinds, but it's nice. Sometimes there's a silver lining, right, to the injury we had to Trent. We didn't want that, but we found out a little bit about Jalen, and that's a good thing.
Steve, speaking of
I tried.
I know.
I tried.
Speaking of Rashad, it seems like things just haven't been going his way. He's tasked to guard the best receiver out there. What's the conversation like with him?
Nothing. I mean, listen, Rashad's the type of corner that his confidence doesn't get shattered, and he'll go back out there and play it the exact same way. Both Rashad and Jalen in the game had instances where they got to play it a little bit better. I was talking about these NFL officials videos that I show them on Saturday, and they do show the right way to play in those. And, they got to look for the football now. We talk about that, and hopefully we get better at it.
What kind of challenge is Diggs and Gabe Davis going against them?
Yeah. What kind of a challenge? Ultra tough. I mean, they got 2 of them, and listen, the guy with the ball in his hands that's firing it to him is pretty good too. Both vertical guys, both guys that you got to be concerned with the big play, and I think Josh Allen's always looking for the big play. So it's like on every down. It's not like a third down thing. Hopefully we maintain our depth and don't give up the explosive passes, because that's when the explosive passes and the explosive runs lead to points allowed, and our biggest focus is just on the points allowed. That's the biggest thing.
What are the coaching points against Josh Allen when he can get you deep, but also is like basically a running back?
Yeah, be deeper than the deepest for the guys on the back end, for the hold down, because he extends the down, and the guys up front, be relentless in your pass rush, because he'll hold it and run around back there, and if you give him a half a second and you're not relentless, he's gonna uncork one deep, and then it becomes a jump ball, and the 2 guys that you just mentioned are really good at it, and it becomes a challenge for the back end guys.
Where's your philosophy at? It looked like maybe you sneak, kind of maybe trailed a little bit late with Devontae Adams.
Yeah, we did do
I
that.
know you lose a little bit of, the disguise and things when you do that, but
yeah. It's a good observation on your part because we did that a little bit last week. We pick our spots in games, before games. Dave Merritt and I are always talking about it. Listen, the one thing about LJ is he loves a challenge. So when you say, hey, go take that guy, he's more than willing to do it. So going forward, we'll see where we are with the other teams.
And then how was McDuffie look for you?
Yesterday, wasn't a full speed practice, and it's been a bunch of walkthroughs, so it's hard for me to decipher that right now. We'll have a better idea after today.
You mentioned Josh Allen kind of scrambling around, but they do some straight runs with him as well.
Yes, quarterback designated runs,
A lot of those runs, and usually big kind of play times, right? Third downs.
Yeah, they're usually in critical situations, right? And then he's done against us here. Early 3rd and 2s or 4th downs. And listen, we're game planning hopefully to stop it. I'm sure they'll have things off of that. He's a beast, running with the football. He's big. Jumped over LJ. We were watching that one this morning. I don't know if you guys remember. I can't remember if it was the playoff game or but he's the real deal. I got a lot of respect for him. He's really good.
Last two, Matt and Haley.
What have you learned the last few games about Darius Harris? And when Willie gets back, what is kind of a spot for him or a role for him?
Yeah, I think that, we talked about Jalen, but Darius certainly has proven that he deserves to be out there and that we all have confidence in him and we have to go to him. I think we talked about this before. We were always very confident in his mental aspect of the game. He's shown that, and then he has shown up in his tackling. He gets better and better, and again, maybe there's a little blessing there too. We didn't want to lose Willie, but we did, and now we have a better idea of what Darius can do.
Coach, not to keep bringing up the deficit from last week, but if you get a deficit against Josh Allen, it's not a knock on Derek Carr, but it might be a little harder to come back. And Reed was saying yesterday that Pat was kind of the guy who kept everyone without getting panicked on the offensive side. So who's that on the defensive side? Who's the player who keeps everyone?
I think it's kind of a group effort. I know all the coaches are involved in that. Or I do think, and going back to the point we were making earlier, I do think we all have confidence that our offense can find a way to eventually get some points. But at some point, we can't allow it to keep creeping up. I think all the players kind of take it. I can't really pick one out. Nick obviously, as a leader, and a bunch of those D linemen, and L'Jarius is kind of a voice of reason on the back end. Juan's been really good there too. So.
Thanks, everyone.
Good, thank you. Appreciate it.
Like that, what's the voice of reason for L'Jarius Sneed on the back end? Like some of the guys are bringing the energy. L'Jarius Sneed is the voice of reason. Guys, hey. Let's just keep it together.
Hey, our quarterback's Patrick Mahomes.
We're good, man.
Be all right.
Hey, guys, if we just fill the gaps there on defense, if we just execute and tackle, we're doing just fine, guys. It's okay. Calm down.
When you guys just cover Devontae, we'll be all right.
Yeah.
We'll be just find 17.
Hey, let's look at the big picture here, all right? We're not playing terrible football right now, okay? We just have to just tighten it up just a little bit more. Just tighten this thing, okay?
We're making some pretty good money playing football out here right now. Life's not too bad. Let's go ahead and just tighten it up a little bit. Let's get this dub.
Hey, are we trying our hardest? Because that's all that matters here. Win, lose, are we trying? Are we having fun? Let's do this. Eric Bieniemy.
I thought our guys did an outstanding job when faced with some adversity early in that game and finding ways to overcome some adverse situations. I thought we had the intestinal fortitude to overcome it, and our guys found a way collectively to come away with a victory, and it was an impressive team victory. Kudos to the Las Vegas Raiders. I thought they did an outstanding job, but I'm glad we found a way to drag our asses across the finish line together. With that said, I'm all ears.
You guys faced the Bills a couple of times last year, and they look like they made some more improvements, particularly in pass rush, I guess. But how do they look different this year than last on defense?
You know what? They're looking good. Obviously, you can't go without taking a peek at Von Miller and everything that he brings to the table. Obviously, in our opinion, he's probably a future Hall of Famer that does an outstanding job. Here's a guy that's had a lot of success in his career, and obviously he can share some of that wisdom with some of the younger players that he's playing with. But that defense is strong. Obviously, they have a great head coach in Sean McDermott. I've known since '99. I've also known their defensive coordinator, Coach Les Frazier, since '99. We even worked together in Minnesota. So I know the system in which they implement. Those guys do a great job of implementing it. On top of that, their guys go out there and play fast. That's the impressive thing. And they very seldom, if at all, make mistakes. So it's about our offense going out and out executing what they do schematically.
Eric, what is it about your team that has this propensity to keep coming back from double-digit deficits? And what have you seen from Patrick specifically that just knows that he just really raises his game up a notch when that happens?
Yeah, so first of all, we always talk about and discuss just living in the moment and making sure that our guys understand the importance of today. Tomorrow can't happen if we don't take care of business today. You know, just like today. Today is about situational football, whether it's short yardage and goal line, our third down. Those are the emphasis. And we understand those are important pieces to helping us to obtain a victory on Sunday. But we want our guys to focus on that today. Live in this moment so we can give ourselves the best opportunity to go out and execute on game day. Now, as far as talking about Pat does a heck of a job of just his preparation and how he prepares, his mental preparation, you know, as far as studying, knowing exactly what type of schemes we're seeing and what to anticipate. But on top of that, the way we physically practice, we practice at game speed. You know, everything is about going full speed, giving our guys an opportunity to make sure that we're rehearsing what we expect to do on Sunday. And so, you know, we have a great head coach. We have a great culture in what we do. So we like where we're at, and it just gives our guys an opportunity to live in the moment because of their mental and physical preparation. And that gives us the ability to go out there and play. You don't like spotting teams 17 points, but our guys understand it's all about living in the moment. We can't come back unless we take care of the next play. And that's by far the most important thing. And then we can focus on the next one and keep it moving after that.
But you guys are clearly mixing running backs. Clyde has had his games. Isaiah has his moments. Last game was Jet. Fair to say that, you know, in the committee it's kind of hot hand. If a guy's playing well, we're going to keep riding him.
Oh, yeah. I thought Jared did a great job of just setting it off. You know, that 30-yard run or so that he had earlier, that set the tone. That set the tempo. Picked our guys up. It was the spark that we needed. And from that point on, obviously Jared contributed and did a heck of a job. But it was good. It's always good when you have a good group of football players that, you know, love and respect each other because they understand, hey, he just made a play. Let's keep riding with him and see exactly what unfolds. So it was fun to watch. But on top of that, we also know, hey, next week or this particular week, and it could be Clyde, it could be Pacheco, it could be Burt, it could be Pat making plays with his legs, it could be McCole. So next man up.
Eric, as a former player, you know what it's like to play in games where you're not 100%. That appears to be the case with McCole. Just how do you use your coaching and your playing experience to sort of get him to be effective, even if he's not touching the ball as much as you guys maybe would anticipate if he is fully healthy?
When it's all said and done with, our job is to make sure that our guys understand the expectations. Our goal is to win. And so regardless of whether the numbers or touches are coming to you, we're a team. And so you guys have heard me talk about this before. We don't talk about numbers. That's not the important thing. It's about what are we going to do each and every day to help us to obtain the most important alphabet in this business, and that's the W. And so we just want our guys to make sure that they're doing everything under the sun, mentally preparing themselves, physically taking care of themselves, and doing whatever they need to do, whether it's in the training room or in the weight room or in the cold tub or whatever, also taking care of business while they're at home. And so regardless of what role, you know, players may seem to have or not have, every role is by far the most important because they're helping the piece of the puzzle. They're helping us to basically come together and make this thing go. I thought McCole did a heck of a job this weekend. You know, probably one of his better games that he played, you know, this entire season. And the thing that was impressive more than anything was what he did when the ball was not in his hands, just some of the perimeter blocking. Those are the things that stand out, not just to me, but to us as an offense, and those things help spark us.
Eric, you talk about getting things going. I think in the first half the numbers were 3 sacks and 6 pressures, and the second half was 1 sack, 1 pressure. They do something to surprise you? Is that just part of setting them up with the overall play calling scheme as to why they were so effective early and you got a hold of it later?
I like to say we set them up. But
I gave you the option.
they got game records. Those guys, and give Josh McDaniels and Pat Graham their credit as well. And those guys played their tails off. Just like I discussed last week, Crosby is a game record. Chandler Jones is a game record. Those guys did a hell of a job. And, that defense, they did some things that not so much caught us off guard, but they were just playing better than us. Our guys finally settled down and just lived in the moment and finally said, you know what, let's just play this one play and see what happens. Then we'll line up and play the next play and see what happens. Our guys started getting in the rhythm. We started living in the moment. We wasn't stressing anything. We just found a way to play one play at a time. And when it was all said and done with, we found a way collectively to win it.
And then philosophically, going for it on fourth down, we saw McDaniels go long, right? And that affects it. So often teams are just, they want to get that first down and they don't use that whole stretch of the field. Like, is that a part of, I know you guys are fairly aggressive when it comes to going for it on fourth down, but is that something you have to remind yourself, we do have the whole field? And what was your reaction when you saw him take that shot when he didn't have to go down there?
Well, and here's the thing. In this day and age, it seems like everybody's being a little bit more aggressive these days. So we expect it at all times because when it's all said and done, when everybody wants to give themselves the best chance of winning. And regardless of what the number said, if they're feeling pretty good, 9 out of 10, they felt that they can get it done. So they didn't get it done, but our job was to make sure that we can finish the game. And I thought that we did an outstanding job of doing the little things that we needed to do to help us to accomplish the goal.
Do you use the whole field though on fourth down?
Oh, yes. You have to. You have to. And I don't want to give all the secret sauce away now.
Last two.
I know you guys got the ball kind of formatted offense, got one first down, then didn't get it done. Get that second one. I couldn't quite see a good enough replay on the second down play. Was there room to cut back for Clyde to make that third and shorter, or just what was your feeling in the way you guys performed in that formatted offense?
As a former running back coach, you'll always hear me say there's always an open lane somewhere, and there's somewhere to be found where we can make something happen. Like I said, I'm going to give credit to where credit is due. Those guys defensively did a hell of a job. Obviously, would we have liked to have been better? Yes. Clyde would have liked to do some things a little bit better? Yes. But kudos to them. They did a hell of a job of making the play, which gave us an opportunity to kick the ball to them and see our defense hold up and just make plays and end the game the way we did. Like I said, I thought it was a great, outstanding team win, and something that that is uplifting because our guys did a great job of overcoming adversity together and sticking through it. And that was the thing that was impressive about this past weekend.
We've talked before about the fact that you're going to get everybody's best shot, that their most emotional investment each week. For you guys, it's hard to maintain that for 17 games. So how do you as a coach manage that and know when these guys need to be pushed, like a couple of weeks ago, and when you need to back off and just let them figure it out?
We remind them every single day. They hear it from me every single day because we know, just because of the success that we've had, and we know that we're going to get everybody's best shot. And the only way that you can remain ready is by working the way we do. And so we have to physically and mentally prepare our guys to make sure that they understand this is probably going to be the most physical game, the most physical and stressful game in a sense, whereas you're going to have to overcome all issues that we're going to be faced with. But our guys understand that going into this week, just like they do any other week. And so when they're faced with that, that's why we don't stress when we're down by X amount of points. It's all about living in the moment and making sure that our guys have the ability, the capability of coming back when under duress.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, so there's Eric Bieniemy. We'll hear from Matt Nagy, Joe Cullen, and Dave Merritt as well. But the offensive line and the defense for the Raiders saying that they didn't catch them off guard. They were just better and then had to regroup and one play at a time and focus on that. Joe Cullen is up right now.
with that, obviously, we got a great opponent, a tough opponent. The Bills coming up. They're a great football team, and open it up for questions.
We learned a little bit last week about the wagon. What can you tell us about the wagon, and why is Colin Saunders that guy?
Well, the wagon, let me tell you this. So it's just an old saying. It goes back years about, you got to pull the wagon today. You got to pull everybody with you. And, it's just something we do in our group, just a leadership thing, leading drills. And Colin's someone we put on that way back in OTAs, and he's been doing a great job, and we're going to leave it with him.
Why is he more productive this year? Just is it he's healthy, or what can you point to?
Yeah, I think last year obviously he was injured, and he's been working hard, and the injury probably set in with him last year. But he's healthy, he's strong. He came back in great shape, and he's working hard at his craft.
What kind of a season would you say Chris Jones has had?
Chris, I think he's had a dominating season. I mean, he's playing. Obviously he can keep improving, but he's playing the run. He's playing physical. He's making impact plays, and he's doing a really good job for us.
One of those impact plays obviously was controversial last week when he caused the fumble and they had the roughing call on it. When you saw the play happen, when you saw the flag, did you think that's what they were going to call? What was your angle on that? I'm not asking you to criticize the officials.
No, I never think they're going to call roughing the passer. But those are hard judgment things. It's when you look at it, you slow it down. You can change every call if you could. They have a hard job as well, and we try to educate our guys. Coach Spagnuolo does a great job. Coach Reed does a great job. We try to tell them where to hit him in the strike zone, the body weight to roll and not land. And it was one of those things. I mean, the ball was out. The official made the call, and you got to go on to the next play.
So you have had to teach some technique things, and it's kind of been a moving target over the past several years?
Yeah, I'd say when the rule came in about landing on him, you tried to see, you want to hit him in the strike zone, just like a baseball umpire, and roll after you make contact within one step, and then be able to roll off of him.
A couple of roll calls the other way now, though, right? Is it getting harder and harder?
Yeah, it's just you just got to keep coaching it.
Joe, Chris has kind of said that your arrival's kind of, he feels like it's helped his game. Are the things you've worked on with Chris to make him maybe more consistent, more productive than he already was?
Well, Chris has done a really good job working, leading the group. He's done a great job he's a big guy, so keeping his pad level down, things like that, striking blockers. He's improved in those areas, and I think he's just really working hard.
Derek and I, there was a couple double teams. They ran kind of the same play straight at him a couple of times, and he's trying to take on two guys. I know it's not easy, right? But is there a technique or something he could have? Is there a different effort? Does somebody have to see that rally help?
Well, when we talk about double teams, you want to be stout, not get moved, and like for instance, a couple of those runs broke out. There were 3 of them that broke out. Like it's all 11. The front's got to play square. They got to play stouter, play with better pad level. Just like when a bomb goes over somebody's head, well, the rush got to be better. It's all 11. And there's certain things that, for the most part, he did a pretty good job on the double teams. There might have been one he got moved, and just staying lower and striking better.
2 more, Matt and Nate.
With Tershon going down, what are you going to be losing with him, and what makes Taylor the guy for right now?
Well, I'll tell you, Turk did a phenomenal job. He's got a great motor. Doesn't say a lot, but you get the same consistent effort every day, and he made a lot of plays. I mean, sometimes that are hidden, hustling downfield, getting pressure on the quarterback. We'll really miss him, and it's a next man up league, so anything can happen at any time. And Taylor's a guy that's worked hard, played in this league, and we're fortunate to have him, just like Danny Shelton. So Malik had to play, just the next man up, and I think Taylor or Danny would be ready to fill that role.
And Joe, with Frank, we understand he's had an illness sort of situation the last couple of years. Just how have you tried to manage that, and how productive do you think he can be with sort of Carlos Dunlap rotating behind him?
Well, I think Frank was on his way to having a phenomenal game the other night. I mean, the first quarter he had like 3 impact plays. Him and George shared a sack. I mean, on the 6th play of the game, he had a TFL in there. He made a great play on the check where they tried to run the option. It's just, that's something that he's had throughout his lifetime, and it's just managing that, and then being able to roll him with Carlos has been great, and now getting Mike Dana and George, like we've been doing in the rotation will only help him. But Frank's done a really good job, and he's, like I said, he was on his way to a really good game.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
All right, there's Joe Colin. So we figured out what the wagon is, and I guess I interpreted it incorrectly, that I thought it was like a weekly thing. that Chris Jones
can move.
Okay.
It can move. I think Colin Saunders is on a hot streak right now.
OTAs. So they gave the wagon to Colin Saunders at OTAs, which, by the way, if we knew that, we would have probably counted him as being a part of the team in the 53-man roster.
That's a great point.
The entire time. Like, they're not going to cut the guy who is pulling the wagon. All right. Joe Cullen gave him the wagon. So he's going to make the squad. But yeah, and the reason why he's seeing the impact or the play of Colin Saunders, he says he's healthy, which has been an issue, which is one of the reasons why there was questions about whether or not Colin Saunders would even make the squad. Is, do you go with a guy who has battled injuries as opposed to somebody that may give you more of a weekly availability than Colin Saunders? Dave Merritt is going to be up very shortly here. He is up right now.
He's one of the top wide receivers in the league. Do you have a little nervousness for him? Or
Not at all, because that was one of the reasons why we drafted the 6'3.5" corner with the long arms, is to be able to play that type of coverage when it's a critical situation. And for the young man to go out there and to execute the press technique the way he did it, I mean, it was really nice to see. And so he's up again this week, so let's see if we can stack it.
So how much confidence can just one play like that in a huge leverage moment be for a young player?
Big. I mean, so the other day we were actually showing our 2 minutes and showing plays, and right before we started talking about the 2 minute, actually Don DeAlessio put Josh Williams' play up on the board, and he just basically showed everyone, hey, this is what you want to do if we call man to man. And that was, a big moment for that young man in front of the defensive group. Of course, he started grinning from ear to ear, so it builds confidence for sure, especially against a player like Adams.
Dave, how did McDuffie look in practice yesterday?
Yesterday we were just kind of, going through it pretty slow. Today it'll be a great test to see him go and pick it up full speed. And I asked him, has he opened up and had full speed bursts? And he said yes. So it's going to be interesting to see today.
Is it realistic to think he could play
Yes,
on Sunday? Or?
I think so. And I know Coach Reed will be able to answer that better. But I'm praying and hoping, my fingers crossed, that he's able to go out there.
Mentally, it's got to be tough for a young guy to finally get a chance to play in the NFL, and then all of a sudden he can't for a while. What's he been showing you in the meeting rooms and all that stuff that makes you feel like he's going to jump right back in?
The fact that he continues to take notes, and I'm calling on him, asking him questions because everyone in the room, I tell them, you all are starters. Everyone's a starter. So don't sit here and think that your number cannot be called. And McDuffie, from the day one of his injuries, he has been in the meeting rooms and he's been taking notes, and he's been able to answer the questions for the game plan. And one of the things that we do in the DB room is we give each young player a segment of the game plan to go study. And so one of his segments is first and second down and third down study, and so he's able to give feedback to the room. So he's staying on top of it.
Dave, is it harder for younger guys to get the zone concepts? Especially pre and post snap, and just how do you feel like that's gone through these first 5 games?
Absolutely. That's the hardest thing to teach the young guys, is the zone concepts, because when you're going from 2 to 3 to 4, those guys are trying to remember and execute the techniques based off of alignments and splits. It's easier to have guys just go play man, although it's not easy as far as defeating the guy in front of you, but it's a little easier. That's my guy, I'm good. But zone concepts, condensed splits versus wide splits, 3D clue technique versus 3D press, and so all the little zone concepts are a lot tougher.
Is there a successful moment that you can sort of reference to, and is there more moments where you're sort of night wondering how it's going to back up?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I think when you look at McDuffie and you look at even Jalen Watson, some of the zone techniques that they've executed as young players in this league, switching from 2 to 3 within the down, there's a couple of plays that I could easily reference, and I'd love to make a cut up for you, but hey, these guys have been in positions to understand, and one of the things I'm proud of is it hasn't been the MEs on the back end, the mental errors, and so that's been big. I even showed them clips today of Allen running around, scrambling to throw downfield, big plays, and staying with your man. And so, but when you're talking about zone concepts, I mean, these guys have done a great job of understanding splits and what these receivers are going to do off of their releases with type of formations.
Couple more.
How hard is it for when you got a guy like Josh Allen that's going to run around, make plays, and also when he does come out of the backfield running, you got a freight train coming at you, right? This is little guys scatting around. The safeties to try to stay home and not maybe bite to come up and.
Extremely hard. One of the things that I spoke to the entire defense about today as we presented third down was I went through game one all the way up to this game, and I talked about each quarterback and specifically went down and talked about the number one picks that we've played against. The one guy who wasn't a number one pick is a Hall of Famer, the best quarterback to ever play the game that we played in Tampa. And I said, so all these guys have a skill set that we have to understand that they're going to bring to the table. Okay, what is Josh Allen's? His skill set is he has probably one of the strongest arms. And then when he starts to run, if he sees an open lane, he's hitting it, no hesitation. And so when you get in that situation, whereas he's running at you, you have to make sure that you tackle him properly. And this is a big man at 235 pounds. Whatever the sheet may say, the guy is big. But you have to make sure you hit him in the strike zone, which is, of course, chest down to the waist. And so, but this young man has a tremendous skill set that I think he's probably going to be one of the best that we've faced thus far. So we're looking forward to the test.
One more. They turned it over a few times. He's got a few picks here or there. How hard is it to trick him and to get him to throw it the wrong place? Is he there, Brady's really hard on that, obviously. Is he up in that area yet? Because I don't know if he gets enough credit for stuff like that.
You know what? He is, because one, he has such a quick release. And when he sees and he knows where he wants to go with the ball gets there very quickly. And so whether you're doubling the guy or whether you're playing zone, sometimes he'll just zip the ball in there, knowing that maybe he should not have made that particular throw, but his arm is so strong that he's able to actually get the ball in places that most quarterbacks cannot. So as far as tricking him with coverages and things of that nature, it is pretty hard. You want to disguise and you want to do certain things, but they also have an element to the offense where it's a little tempo. And so you have to make sure that you're in position to be ready to make sure that you can get to your spot. But smart young man, again, I think he's probably going to be the best that we've faced this season thus far. So,
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thank you.
All right, there's Dave Merritt, the defensive backs coach for the Chiefs, talking about the younger guys and encouraging on Trent McDuffie that yesterday was a walkthrough. Spags said the same thing and said that today they'll get a better idea, but ask him is he going full speed? Is he doing his full burst? And McDuffie said, yes, he is. Asked, is it realistic he could play this weekend? And Merritt sounded, pretty out. I said, yes. Sounded pretty, convinced. And, yeah, he could play. It'll be up to Andy Reid and the training staff, but certainly seems like this isn't he's practicing, but we'll see how it goes. Here's Matt Nagy.
Getting down double digits is a burden, as you know, for a lot of teams, but it hasn't seemed to be a problem for this one.
Yeah.
You guys can come back from double-digit deficits twice already to win this year. Why? What is it about this team?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, number one, we don't want to make that a habit. But number two, I think what it does is you always talk about building identities schematically and trying to learn who you are, but then as a team too, gelling together and becoming resilient, which this team has done over the years, which I think is very, very impressive. But to be able to now use that with new players that you have on the team and show that you can win those type of games is going to be so huge for us down the road as we try to get to where we want to get to. For me, what I think is really neat to see is the fact of a bunch of guys that don't panic, look for solutions, stick together, not one single person points a finger. Everybody's just trying to help each other out. And again, like for me specifically, being there with Patrick and the rest of the quarterbacks, it's really special to be able to see how he gets going when things aren't going really well. It's like he creates an edge. He creates a motivation within himself to not just be a leader, but then to go out and do it on the field. and you feel that, and that's what he's been doing.
Can you give us an example of maybe what you're talking about, what he maybe did the other night?
Well, I think we all saw and we felt it where you could kind of feel that one drive before our first touchdown drive. We got the ball going a little bit. We were getting some positive yards, and there was a little fire going. You could sense it from the crowd. You could sense it from the players. You could sense it from the coaches on the sideline. But then it gets a little chippy too, and sometimes that happens in a lot of games. But sometimes when you're down a little bit, you might make that chippiness feel a little bit more than what it is. And I'm not saying that he did that, but that can be a part of how you do create that edge and you get going. And I do know on the sideline he had some fire going, and it's a good fire. And that, for me, is where it's infectious. You feel it, and it doesn't just happen and permeate to the players too, but to the coaches, and it gets all of us going.
So there's just a different dynamic in those situations.
Yeah.
When Pat, because of what Pat brings.
Yeah, because what he does on the field, it's you can talk about it, but then do you do it, or what do you do about it? And we've been seeing since the day he's taken his first snap here in Kansas City what he can do. He makes special plays, and now he'll be the first to tell you he needs his guys around him to make that happen, and he does. But at the same point in time, when you have somebody that is that positive, that believes at any point in time we can score points whenever, however, whoever, that's what he believes in, and it's infectious and it's contagious. We got down early fast. The good thing is that we had time. We had the rest of the game to get that back, and that's what we did.
Matt, I know remind me if this is correct, but you had one game in 17 where you saw Pat.
Yeah.
During the course of the game.
Yeah.
Now you have 5. Obviously, this is in 5 years past that, but just what's it been like for you to watch him kind of, I guess, communicate to you guys what he's seeing and being part of the solution and mid-game adjustment? Right.
Well, that being his first game in 17 as a rookie, you got to see the on-the-field quarterback of what he can do physically, from his throws to being pulled out of the game, to then me almost getting fired and him going back into the game, to going back in and leading us down the field to win. And I say that because I was a part of trying to get the other guys in there just to kind of get in and get out. But Patrick came back in, led us down the field, and saved my job. And so, but till now, with where he's at, it is different. And that's because of all the experience that he has. And he sees the field so well for now being in his 5th year. He sees defenses so well. And so when he communicates on the sideline to us as coaches, the game is slow to him. At that point in time as a rookie, the game was probably fast, and so the communication was different. But right now he's on a different level. And every game so far that we played, the second that the game ends, he celebrates for about 2 minutes. And then the first thing he says to us, meaning the little quarterback group and myself and Coach Girardi, is it's time for Buffalo. Or it's time, whoever that next opponent is, it's time for them now. That's next. And so it's like he's wired that way. And he's on a mission right now in a good way, and it's 1 week at a time. And that's what I think is really good about where he's at.
And Matt, along those lines, I think we saw, he said, like, he's calling out cover 0 pre-snap, he's calling protections. Like, I don't know, but just tell me pre-snap. Where is he at? What do you see from him?
Well, I think you probably saw the one play where he's taking the snap and he's pointing to the guy on the left as he's dropping back. Sometimes you don't make the right call, whether it's the center, the quarterback, the coach, whoever it is, and they're going to get you. There's good schemes out there. And when you know that as a quarterback, as the ball's coming back to you, that you're going to be hot or that you're not going to have somebody slide into that guy, that's where he's at. But that doesn't just come because he's always been that way. He's worked hard to get to this point. And I think going back to the original question, back to his rookie year when he was learning how to do the cadence, he learning how to understand how our protections work, to right now, I mean, it's hard to trick him with coverages. It's hard to trick him with protections and blitzes and that sort of thing. But that said, he's obsessed with being great to make sure that no one can get him. Now, there's going to be times. And when they do get you with a blitz or they do get you with a coverage, if it's a blitz, you got to know where to go with your hot throws. If it's a coverage, you got to respect the football. And you can't make a quote-unquote bad play worse. I think that's the other thing here that he's doing is his decision-making right now is he's protecting the football. He's making great plays with his legs. He's extending plays, which he's always done. But respect and protect the football, and it's at an elite level right now.
Sometimes to that point, it feels like his best throws may be when he's flushed around the run. Usually that's opposite. Do you have any rhyme or reason for
No, that's always been him from the whole way back to Texas Tech. I mean, he was doing that there. So defensive coordinators, I know because I was a part of it and heard them talk that they do get scared to death when he's outside of the pocket because he just makes so many plays happen and he's comfortable being outside the pocket. Inside the pocket is where he's growing and he's doing great with his feet, his timing, getting his timing down with the routes and concepts of these new receivers. That I love too. We work on that every day, and there's some games this year that he's had where he's been really good with ball security, pushing up, pushing out, but his eyes are staying second, third level. They're not going to the D-line, and that's not easy to do. So there's little parts of this game that he's really doing great with, but again, the beauty of Patrick Mahomes is that he always wants to get better every single day. He does not take a day off, and that's what I love most about him.
Is it better coached to coach him backwards versus conditionally? Like you're actually trying to coach him in the pocket more so than like all the rules, all the things that you're supposed to do when you're out.
Yeah, he does so much naturally that I think, yes, to that point, when you're able to coach off of your feet, whether it's a hitch, whether it's a slide right, throw right, slide left, throw left, whatever it is, it definitely makes it easier for a coach. And he cares about footwork, he cares about timing, he cares also about extending plays with his legs because he's good at it. So Coach Reed does a phenomenal job at teaching all of us and him of how we want to balance that and make it exactly how we can get it so we can score as many points as possible.
As a former quarterback and a quarterback coach,
Yeah.
where are we at with roughing the passer in this league? Good spot, bad spot?
Well, I just, again, I'll follow up with what Coach said. Again, it's for all of us, I think we want to be able to, whatever it is, just get it right. And it is not easy for these referees and these umpires to be able to see things, but whatever the rules are, that's what we go by. And at the same point in time, we understand how some of the players feel too. So.
Coach, there was a combination kind of post-game and Monday between Patrick and Travis and Andy. There was conversation about Pat maybe kind of telling the offensive line, hey, if you can step it up, we can get it done. We like what we see going on downfield, but if you can step it up. And Andy's phrase was, his closet's clean, so he can do that. What does a clean closet look like in the world of Pat?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I don't know. I'd have to ask Coach on that. But I do know this, being a former quarterback and being around Pat and the O-linemen and all the protection meetings that we have with those guys is, number one, he has so much respect for them and knows that if he doesn't have an offensive line, his job gets very, very hard. And vice versa. They know that if they give them time, their job gets easier because we're putting up points and making good plays. And so you have to have that in this league. And the great teams that have unified O-lines and quarterbacks, and they understand and speak the same language, it's hard to stop. And those guys have worked so hard to be great there in the pocket for Pat, and then in the run game. And there's a lot of communication that goes on. And those guys get together on their own and do things. And when you have that, it's really, really good.
Thank you.
All right, take care. See you.
All right, there's Matt Nagy weighing in on the Chiefs offense and Patrick Mahomes, along with Dave Merritt and Joe Cullen and Steve Spagnuolo, Eric Bieniemy, and Dave Tobe. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling more Zone next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
There's one other piece of audio from today that I think is really interesting, but honestly, we went super long in the first segment, and I want to spend a second unpacking this. Is it too early to take a break here, Beards? Or
No, never too early.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, welcome back here in the Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. A lot of press conferences in the previous, hour or so. We got Sports or Leisure coming up at 1 o'clock, and we want to get to as many callers in Sports or Leisure. Beards, is it too early to take a break right now?
Let's take a break.
I mean, I really want to unpack
maybe a little bit.
Oh, finally! It's too early to take a break. The first time ever.
This is going to take 10 or 15 minutes, but I thought Dave Merritt said some really interesting things in this hour.
Yeah, I'm going to need 20 minutes to just really unpack everything I want to get into. So let's start right now. And either we break now or I go 20 minutes straight. I don't know.
Beards, go ahead and replay the Dave Merritt press conference for us real quick. Just him in particular, and then we maybe we Mystery Science Theater 3000 it in real time.
Let's do that. That'd be great.
Do that. Beards, go ahead and hit it.
I want to do that for football games. I want to do that for live sports. Just
I would
Mystery
enjoy that.
Science 3000 as like a podcast, but I don't think we could do that because then you'd have to play the game over the air. So it'd be like the Manning cast only with just being smart Alex the whole time.
This is basically what Twitch is for. But you can't have the broadcast footage up, obviously, because I don't know if you know this, Jason.
What?
The NFL sells those broadcast rights.
When?
And they can be pretty expensive.
I don't know.
Which is annoying. I'm paying for Amazon.
You think $12 will cover it?
Yeah, if I'm paying for Amazon Prime, I should be able to repurpose and retransmit that even without the consent of the National Football League. I mean, when have they ever warned me about not redistributing without the express written consent of Major League Baseball / the National Football League?
I'd never hear it.
Never hear that ever.
After any and every broadcast, I've never, ever heard that before. So, I mean, it can't be that much. I mean...
Let's just do it. Let's just do it.
With roughing the passer calls that are going on right now and the distrust for the NFL, that it can't be that much to purchase games.
They got to have us just want. They got to want to be on every possible stream.
It wouldn't. I certainly wouldn't expect it to be like, for a Thursday night football game like last week or tonight that you would pay like $75 million a week for it. Like I doubt that would be the case that somebody would put up $750 million.
I have a game that should take like 2 minutes. An appropriate amount of time for a game that I pitched to you this morning.
Tonight's game only takes 2 minutes. Great, let's do it.
Let's play a game. Say something nice about Bears Commanders.
It's a football game.
Good one, Beards. Okay, I'll go next. Let's go in a circle until someone can't do it.
Okay.
I like De'Ami Brown coming out of the draft, and he had a big game last week. Get to watch him again.
The story of Brian Robinson, seeing him play.
Very cool.
Don't the Bears have like new orange helmets they're wearing tonight?
It's like an all orange. It's like the color rush type deal.
Are you bleeping me?
But it's like all orange. I think the only thing not orange are the pants. So it's like orange socks, orange jersey, orange helmet.
I don't hate the helmets and the jersey color. So I don't know.
Is that right? Oh God, that's like a negative one for me.
Oh, sorry.
I get to scout Terry McLaurin from the Chiefs trade for him this offseason.
Okay. I probably don't get to watch Jahan Dotson. I guess that's not a good thing. So,
No,
sorry, we were supposed to say good things only. Darn it.
And I just laid out for one semi-sarcastically as my second answer because the helmet thing made me so distraught.
Yeah.
Al Michaels is good.
DraftKings same game parlay?
I put down some parlays today. I've got those invested.
Is it still Fat Bear Week?
No. 747-1, Air Force One. As Matt Derrick tweeted. Thank you.
Are there any Fat Bears on the team?
Yeah, tonight.
Yeah, the linemen technically, just they've been eating their salmon.
So it'd be a Fat Bear touchdown if one of the defensive linemen scores.
That would be, if that happens, I will tweet that so fast I'm going to sprain my thumbs.
Fat Bear touchdown. I call dibs. I've copyrighted it already. It's like I'm like Ohio State. I'm going to copyright and I want royalties if you have Fat Bear touchdown tonight if a defensive tackle wins. I like the over a half for interceptions for Carson Wentz tonight.
Is that where the line is?
0.5. I like
Are
the
you
over.
bleeping me?
Yeah, no, I'm not. I like the over on that. I also like over 1.5 touchdowns for Wentz. I like the over 1.5 touchdowns and the over 0.5 interceptions.
He's got a bicep thing going on right now.
I like both those.
I know is it over under a half with like not very good odds?
I haven't seen where the juice is on that one.
Where's the juice?
The juice. It's with Willie Gay right now. So
That's right. He's the juice man.
I've actually got the DraftKings site pulled up because I was looking at stuff for my. I think I'm doing the picks this week for us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let me get that pulled up.
Don't screw us like
Passing props.
Josh
Wentz.
did.
Commanders are favored by a point.
Uh-huh.
Let's see. You're looking for passing
Interceptions. Here we go. Minus 125.
That's it for
That's
the
it.
0.5.
That's $10 to win 18 if you want to bet on Carson Wentz throwing a pick tonight.
Oh my God.
By the way, Carson Wentz over 1.5 touchdowns is plus 135. I like that. I think he's going to have 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. In that.
Justin Fields is
passing over under.
Passing yards over under.
Yeah. What is
this
it?
is going to end it for me, and that's 168.5.
Oh God.
By the way, Justin Fields' passing touchdowns is over under 0.5. Not interceptions, passing touchdowns.
Beards this may have been the stat Beard said earlier in the week, but I saw it on Twitter today that Cooper Kupp has as many completions as many catches as Justin Fields has completions this year.
Yeah, as the Bears receivers do. Yeah.
So slice that however you'd like.
Sure.
I saw it in the Justin Fields category there.
They should get more Cooper Kupps on the Bears. That's what I hear.
Oh my goodness.
Cooper Kupp should be quarterback for the Bears.
That's what I hear too.
You know what else I learned today?
What'd you learn?
Matt Nagy sounds happier.
I like how he said he almost got fired after during the Broncos game in 2017.
Tyler Bray almost got him canned.
Yeah, but then Mitch Trubisky did.
Yeah.
Ultimately get him canned.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. Wrap up this hour. We got Sports or Leisure in the 1 o'clock hour. More Zone next.
168.5.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
We need to check and make sure that your fingernails are clean, because if they're not, here comes the ruler.
Wrap across the knuckles.
That's exactly right.
That's
what we do.
Guess I better go get my fingernails dirty.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, so there was some self-control by me there in the break, in the previous break as well. So in the break room, there are 2 bags of Cheetos and a Dr. Pepper that are all stuck.
Oh.
So the Dr. Pepper is stuck, and so the flap is up, and then the Cheetos have fallen, barely being held up by the flap. And there was self-control for me to not just simply start to shake the hell out of that thing to try to get one of those things to fall, because if one falls, you might get all 3. Like if the Dr. Pepper falls, you get all 3. You get 2 bags of Cheetos and a Dr. Pepper.
That's a high risk, high reward. That's like the $300 I'm going to put down on Carson Wentz to throw a pick tonight.
Yeah, that's the same thing. I'm going to put down a Dr. Pepper and 2 bags of Cheetos on a over-under 1.5 touchdowns for Wentz as well.
Buy me some Cheetos, Carson.
I'm going to go get my money to bet right now.
West Coast Men's Health has helped thousands.
You're into sports, but nothing wrong with a little leisure time. Why not both?
You're going to have a heart attack by the time you're 40 if you don't learn to relax.
It's time for sports or leisure on The Zone with Jason Anderson.
All right, 913-381-0810. Time to play a little sports or leisure. $25 to Johnny's Tavern on the line. Sports or leisure, 913-381-0810. If you would like to play, you get a sports question, you get a leisure question. You get them both right, you win. Get either of them wrong, you lose. The question is out there available for someone to call in and request if they know the answer to it. Or if they have Googled, we really don't care. I've got your answers right here, Beard, so sorry I did not bring it. How would I have had enough time in the last 20 minutes to walk in there and give these answers to you?
Impossible.
Beards. I mean, just no time. There's never enough time. I just swamped over here in the breaks looking at my app for DraftKings.
Hey, I know it's leisure and sports is how we call it. So my categories are Marvel questions, commonly misspelled words, Let's Get Greeky, the pun name game, and Bills. No reason I went first.
No, not at all.
Answer your answers.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and go second here with the categories. We have some leftover ones from the Raiders, so Chiefs and Raiders games. We have leftovers from that. We have a new category of Chiefs and Bills. These are players that have played for both the Chiefs and the Bills.
Ooh.
We have 99 problems, but a touchdown isn't one, based on 99 or more yard touchdowns in the NFL. Gabriel Davis had a 98-yarder. So 99-yard touchdowns, offense and defense. We'll have that category. We've got NFL and then college football as well. So some Raiders, Chiefs and Bills, 99 problems, but a touchdown isn't one, NFL and college football. Those are the categories.
Mine are all pretty self-explanatory, done them in the past, except for Bills.
Okay.
Which are famous Bills. Bills Week.
So like famous Buffalo Bills, so like Marv Levy.
Oh, it's leisure, Jason. You got to put on your leisure thinking cap.
Oh, okay.
Like, there's a bunch that I'm not. Well, I don't know how to give it a good example that's not too good of an example that might be usable. I'm not doing Bill Russell, for example, because he's a sports figure. That would have been a reasonable one. But
what about Bill Walton?
I will not. I did think about Bill Walton because his clue could have still been very funny.
Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly
What an
right.
amazing category would be if I was a part of it, Josh.
He eat a lit candle on a cupcake.
Bill Russell. One of the greatest men ever lived.
This is
history. The Conference of Champions.
I'm gonna give that an 8.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I was thinking 7.5, but then champions kind of got me.
Champions. All right, 913-381-0810. 913-381-0810. Those are the categories. You get them both right, you win $25 to Johnny's Tavern. I'm ready to go. Josh, you good?
Sure am. That's my. It's got to be.
It's going to be an amazing game.
It's a nice moist impression.
Beards, what about you?
I'm fine.
Okay, great. 913-381-0810. Let's go to Andrew. Leads us off here on Sports or Leisure on a Thursday. Andrew, what side do you want to start with, sir?
Let's go leisure and Marvel.
Okay, we are in relatively challenging Marvel question territory now because intern Dylan made these a long time ago, and I have been taking the easy ones first.
How long ago did he make them?
Months.
Yeah, because he was interning here during the summer.
Yeah, it's been a long.
How long
he
ago
made like
he made them.
60 of them.
Yes.
Who killed Tony Stark's parents?
The Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes.
Yeah, Bucky.
Workman-like performance by Andrew.
Bucky. All right, on to the sports side, sir. We got Raiders, Chiefs, Bills. We got 99 problems. We've got NFL and some college football.
I want to try that 99.
All right, 99 problems, but a touchdown isn't one. Since you asked for it, you get what I think is the easiest one on the board, but we'll find out. What is the only Chiefs quarterback wide receiver combo to have a 99-yard touchdown?
Well, it's Bo Richter.
Mm-hmm. Who threw Mark the ball?
I feel like it's pretty obvious. I'll say Trent Green.
There you go. Well done. See?
Wow.
First one asked for the category. I think you got the easiest one on the board. Trent Green, Mark Bo Richter.
Definitely got the best remaining Marvel question. They get mean after that.
See? Absolutely. Andrew, we'll put you on hold, get your information. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Absolutely. $25. Johnny's Tavern heading Andrew's way. So that's a winner already.
Dodge City Burger, Lil Nuke Lelouch. Maybe somebody in this room didn't eat breakfast this morning.
Beards?
A little donut, though. Appreciate that.
Oh, he's not in this room.
No.
How do you know what my breakfast habits were?
I just assumed
the most important meal.
I
of the
assume
day.
that you have 3 round meals a day, which is just an Uncrustable, and Uncrustable, and another Uncrustable.
I'm not a big breakfast eater.
Oh, interesting.
And lunch is typically kind of light.
Yeah.
Dinner, let me get 3 helpings.
Yeah, you eat like Joey Chestnut.
Let me get 3 helpings of dinner.
You really should enjoy Fat Bear Week because you eat and then hibernate.
Yeah, I actually have dinner and supper combined.
That makes
just
sense.
in one
that
sitting.
That makes sense.
Let's go to Avery next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Avery, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Let's get Greeky with it.
Ooh, let's get Greeky with it. What's the name of the 3-headed dog that guards the entrance to Hades?
Cerberus.
Bang!
I mean, this guy grew up in Greek mythology. Like he lived through it. How old are you, Avery? About 5,000 years old.
5,000 years old, and I miss my dog.
All 3 of them. All right, on to the sports side, sir. What category are you thinking?
What were those again?
Yeah, so we had leftovers from the Raiders, which are just Chiefs-Raiders matchups throughout the years. We have Chiefs and Bills, which are questions about players that have played for both the Chiefs and the Bills. 99 problems, but a touchdown isn't one. These are touchdowns with the Chiefs and also around the NFL of 99 yards or more. We have NFL and we have college football.
I'll try that 99-yarder.
Okay, so 99-yarder for you. Watson's return on the Chargers was the 3rd defensive touchdown of at least 100 yards with Andy Reid as the coach. So in the Andy Reid time as coach, Jalen Watson's 99-yarder was the 3rd of at least 99 yards. Name either of the other 2 that were 99 or more.
So would like a Nile Davis kickoff return, would that count as a return?
It does not count.
Okay.
It's only offensive and defensive touchdowns. So not return touchdowns, offensive and defensive touchdowns. It's a great question. I'm glad you asked that before you went with the answer of Nile Davis.
Or like when Eric Berry returns that 2-point conversion?
Also not. We're looking at touchdowns that are not special teams.
Okay.
So just offense, defense. So either fumble returns, interception returns, receiving and rushing.
Okay.
So Jalen Watson had one. There were 2 others like that with Andy Reid as the coach.
Like maybe Marcus Peters might have done something like that. Nah, sorry guys, I don't. I guess I'll take another guess with somebody else, and I'll say that Derek Johnson did that.
He did not. He did not. Avery, thanks for playing, man. I appreciate it, sir. That question is out there for someone to call in and request.
Sort of a 3-headed monster in this question.
Yeah, that Jalen Watson rounding out the 3rd. You know, those things come in 3s with Andy Reid as the coach.
And Cerberus.
Oh. Let's go to Matthew next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Matthew, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Oh, you know what? Is Marvel still there?
Yes, there are a few. I need some confidence in your voice, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a question. I'm not very confident in that. Let's do sports and leisure. I was going to do the 99-yard touchdown things, and that was gone immediately.
Well, there's more. I mean, it's there's the question out there from Jalen Watson's, and there's more questions that are other than the one that's out there. So
I was gonna say Bo Richter, Watson, and Dexter McCluster, or Dexter.
No, not those.
I know with those. So let's
go.
Yeah, sports and leisure. I mean, Raiders Chiefs.
Raiders Chiefs. Okay, so let's go with this one. The 1997 Monday Night Football game had a dramatic ending. Is that a dramatic ending? What was the game-winning connection as time expired to win on the road in Oakland?
Can I ask if it was Oakland or Chiefs?
It was for the Chiefs. They won in Oakland on Monday Night Football, and as time expired, it was a touchdown pass. What was the connection? Just as like Trent Green, Mark Bo-Richter was the connection for the 99-yarder.
Right.
What was the connection in that 97 Monday Night Football game on the road as time expired? A lot of beer being thrown, and
I
number
bet,
one's being told to that player who was standing in the end zone.
Wide receivers for Kansas City.
97.
At that time, shoot. I can't say Willie Davis because that was Denver.
It was not Willie Davis.
And that was way back in 93 with
93.
Montana, or 94 with Montana. Any more hints, or am I just a loser?
Well, you're not a loser, whether you get hints or not.
That's a good way of putting that.
If you don't think I'm a loser, then give me a hint.
Yeah.
Damn it.
I lost last week, and I won the first question, and then I was thrown a Marvel question. It was completely out of my league.
Oh.
So.
Well, both these guys are out of the NFL. I mean, they're both out of the league.
All right, you got one more. You got one more.
That's right. Let's see. Trying to think of what a hint would be. I don't want to give it away. I just can't.
Yeah. It's too early in the day to give out a freebie. Unfortunately,
there's some hints I would give you, but it's just hard to do that.
Yeah.
All right, shot in the dark. Shoot. Kimball Anders.
That is incorrect. Incorrect. Matthew, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it, sir.
Thank you.
Absolutely. 913-381-810. That question is out there. Let's go to Sean. Next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Sean, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
I'm going to go with sports. What's up, fellas? How you doing today?
What's up, Sean? What question are you looking for? What category?
I think I'm going to go with that 90-yarder that's out there. I believe there was a fumble return by Rashad Breeland.
That is correct.
There sure was.
Jalen Watson's return was the third defensive touchdown of at least 99 yards with Andy Reid as the coach. Name either of the other two. Rashad Breeland had a 100-yarder versus Detroit in the fumble return. Want to throw a dart, Josh or Sean, as to the other one? It was an interception return.
Yeah, I figured that part, but...
Was it with the Eagles, or was it with the Chiefs only, right?
With the Chiefs only, and this was actually Andy Reid's first year with the Chiefs. And it was actually, oddly enough, against the Bills. It's a hard one to remember. It was Sean Smith. Intercepted Toole, whatever the Toole's first name was, Jeff or John Toole in the end zone.
I was going to ask who that quarterback was because I don't remember. Couldn't tell you for my life.
Intercepted Toole and ran it back for 100 yards. So Sean Smith, Rashad Breeland, and now Jalen Watson. So you got that right onto the leisure side with Josh.
Do you have a category in mind? We got the Marvel questions, the commonly misspelled word spelling bee, the Let's Get Greeky category, the pun name game, and famous bills.
Let's go with the spelling.
All right. I will do my best to accommodate your request. Please spell the word accommodate.
Accommodate?
Accommodate.
That's an easy one. ACCOMMODATE.
Sure was an easy one. You made it seem easy.
Well done. And you know what? John is going to accommodate you and your gift card there. $25 heading your way. Sean, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it, sir.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Absolutely. 913-381-810.
I got to stop doing this hour at the hungriest point of the day. It is so bad to sit here and just think about, I really like the Dodge City Burger. I love the French fry ring combo. I love the Nuke LaLoosh. And right now, my tummy is empty.
Tommy likey. Tommy want wingy.
Tommy hungry.
Want Wilson wingy.
Wilson wingy for the hungry tummy.
Yes. Let's go to, by the way, Andrew's on line one. I don't think he was a winner, by the way.
Different Andrew.
That's a different Andrew. Never mind. Andrew was on line one. I look back up. He's still on line. Are you going to get his information, Beards? Okay, the man's just been sitting there.
Andrew's so hungry.
Andrew want wingy. Ronnie next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Ronnie, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with, sir?
Let's do that receiver. Is that question out there?
Absolutely. The Raiders, 1997 Monday Night Football game, Chiefs on the road, a dramatic ending. What was the game-winning connection for the Chiefs as time expired to win on the road in Oakland that night?
You said that's the Oakland, you said? Okay, so...
Yep. In Oakland that night.
I'm trying to remember. That's the year... That's when Gannon came in, but I think we played Oakland first.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say the quarterback was Gerbach, and
Correct.
if he's going to say number one, this had to be some bad moon, Andre Rison.
That's right.
Wow.
Gerbach to Andre Rison. I was like a hint, or I was trying to think of like, was there a moon or something rising or left eye, and I couldn't think of one that wouldn't just give it away with Andre Rison. So,
But it gets away, yeah.
yeah, Elvis Gerbach to Andre Rison in 97. All right, over to Leisure with Josh.
We got the Marvel questions, the spelling bee, Let's Get Greeky, the pun name game, and famous Bills.
So the famous Bills would be not Buffalo Bills. These
Correct. Leisurely Bills. Yeah.
All right. I guess we're just going to go famous Bills.
I love that. I appreciate that. William James, if he was going by his given first and middle names, is best known for his work on the silver screen. I particularly appreciate him for his recurring roles in Wes Anderson movies. Jason also always keeps reminding me that he used to squash some specters back in the day.
I'm a little confused on what the exact question is.
Yeah, me too.
Who is the famous Bill in question? Good clarifier. Giving you a lot of information.
Yeah.
About a famous Bill.
Try it again.
William James. The William James is unnecessary for your.
Yeah, I was going to say, are you talking about?
That's why I was like, am I supposed to say Bill James?
That's what I thought.
No. Sorry,
that's an easy one. It's Bill James.
That's his first and middle name. His middle name is James. No, this Bill is best known for his work on the silver screen. I appreciate him for being in virtually every Wes Anderson movie, but according to Jason, he used to squash some specters back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. The Bill James was a...
Yeah, that's what threw me off too.
You're right. You're right. If his middle name wasn't James, I feel like you would have been there, and I didn't think about Bill James on this one. So
Bill Murray.
Yeah.
There we go. All right.
Dr. Big.
I appreciate you also being the first one to step into famous Bills. Now I've got a little more information, how to smooth out this process.
I thought for sure he was like, that's the easiest one ever, Ronnie. He's just asking who William James is. Oh, Bill James.
Yes. I feel dumber for even having to have endured that one.
Yes, works at a bean factory. Bill James. Ooh, we were looking for Bill Murray. Sorry.
Bill Murray, sorry.
Ronnie, we'll put you on hold, get your information. Congratulations, man.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. 913-381-810-810. Let's go to Andrew next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Andrew, sports or leisure? What side do you want to start with?
I'm sad I missed that Bill Murray question because I share a birthday with him.
Wow.
I'm gonna have to go Marvel.
Okay, on the Marvel front, what was Happy Hogan's occupation before coming to work for Tony Stark?
Oh
man, what was Happy's?
That is a tough one. They've usually been a little easier for me. I'm going to have to say limo driver.
No. I only know no is the answer because Josh was shaking his head. It's not like I know the answer.
I also don't know the answers to these anymore. These are ones that I have trusted intern Dylan from the Beyond.
Oh, I thought like you didn't know the answer. You didn't have them in front of you.
I have the answers, but I would not have known them. If you ask me this tomorrow, I might forget.
Andrew, I was just asking because I didn't know. I was hoping you would tell me what his job was.
Man,
so sorry, man. I just was curious what his job was. I was going to write it down as the next question. So thank you for playing, Andrew. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks, guys.
913-381-810-810. Let's go to Matt next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Matt, sports or leisure? What side do you want to start with, bud?
Let's go famous Bills.
To Bill or not to Bill? That is the question. He was also married to Anne Hathaway, and that's my Midsummer Night's Dream. Different Anne Hathaway.
Bill James?
Nothing to do with Bill James.
Is it Bill Shakespeare?
It's Bill Shakespeare!
How was he married to Anne Hathaway?
His wife's name was Anne Hathaway.
Was it really?
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
one threw me off.
I had no idea.
Yep, it's true.
I would not have gone Bill Shakespeare because of that alone. I would have thought, okay, is there an actor named Bill that's married? But yeah.
Nope,
Cool.
Just a different Anne Hathaway.
All right, on to the
Learn something
sports
every day
side.
on the zone.
Absolutely. On to the sports side, we got Raiders questions, Raiders and Chiefs matchups throughout the years. We've got Chiefs and Bills, players that played for both the Chiefs and the Bills. 99 problems, but a touchdown isn't one. We've got NFL and college football.
Try Chiefs and Bills.
All right, Chiefs and Bills for you. The This running back has a problem with Eric Bieniemy and now apparently RG3, but at least he has a couple of Super Bowl rings for his troubles.
Oh, that's I am drawing a blank on his name right now.
By the way, I had no idea until this weekend that he and RG3 had beef.
It's LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah, well done. Yes, LaShawn McCoy is the answer to that one. And that is a
ding, ding,
winner.
ding. Beard's
Matt,
on the phone. Ding, 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 ding.
Yep, that's right. Ding, ding. Well done, Matt. We'll put you on hold and get your information, sir. Congratulations. About that.
Thank you.
It's just that easy.
God. I'm trying to get
Shakespeare and LaShawn McCoy. And
that's all you got to do. You got to come
in.
You got to come in for Bill Shakespeare, LaShawn McCoy, and if you're feeling confident in that, then we're in good shape. I'm guessing Beards is busy. I'm guessing we're going to need to take a quick time out here.
Yep. Matt won.
Yes.
Yep, Matt won that one. And gone.
Still on the line.
This segment. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back.
Anne Hathaway.
More sports or leisure. Coming up next, 913-3.
Not the Catwoman one.
Sports Radio 810.
One from back in the day.
The Zone.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
That's half of it, right?
That's half of it. We got a leisure question. You want to go Trivindiana, Marvel questions, spelling bee, or fourth grade U.S. history, or Beards' Game of Thrones question?
Those are serious categories?
Those are all serious questions. Yep. Only serious categories around here.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, 913-381-810, $25. Johnny's Tavern, playing a little sports or leisure. 913-381-810. Reset the categories real quick. We've got Chiefs-Raiders questions, just matchups throughout the years between the Chiefs and the Raiders from last week's leftover. We've also got Chiefs and Bills category, where players that played for both the Chiefs and the Bills. 99 problems, but a touchdown isn't one. These are touchdowns, whether it's from scrimmage, touchdown scrimmage, either interception, fumble, rushing, receiving, 99-yard touchdowns or longer. We've got NFL and college football. What about on the leisure side, Josh?
We have the remaining relatively challenging Marvel questions, courtesy of intern Dylan. Commonly misspelled words spelling bee. We did accommodate earlier, just for a little point of reference. Let's get Greeky, which goes into Greek mythology. The pun name game, a recurring classic here. And then today's newest category, famous Bills. Bill Murray, Bill Shakespeare have both been taken off the board.
Bill James.
Bill James, I once considered, did not know that would cause confusion. Totally understand why it did. We learn here on Sports or Leisure, ideally from our mistakes.
You know what? He only makes he makes a mistake. He only does it once.
That's my goal.
Doesn't make the same.
That's my goal. That Mahomes method.
Absolutely. Let's go to Clint next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Clint, sports or leisure? What side do you want to start with, bud?
I'll start with the leisure. How about the Marvel question that was out there?
Oh, yeah. What was Happy Hogan's occupation before coming to work for Tony Stark?
He was a boxer.
Boom! Yes, he was. That was an unsatisfying. There we go. That's a great ding you got that time. You earned it.
Let's go on to the sports side.
Punch.
Clint, we've got Raiders, we got Chiefs and Bills, we got 99 problems, we got NFL and college football.
Was the one Chiefs and Raiders question still up there, the Monday Night Football one, or that one get it?
It was answered already.
I'll still do Chiefs and Raiders, though. We'll go that way.
All right, Chiefs and Raiders for you. I think this is a pretty easy one, so you know what? To heck with it. A lot of dramatic endings for the Chiefs and the Raiders. What player carried the football or through the air carried the football over the goal line as time expired to win a game 27-23? Down by 3, 23-20, and they elected they're going to go for it to win the game. Which player scored that touchdown? He dove over the pile. It was a running back.
Marcus Allen?
It was not Marcus
Allen.
Oh! I feel like that was an easy. Is that an easier one, Josh, or am I wrong on that one?
I was looking up famous Bills.
Okay, very good. All right, fantastic.
I just figured honesty to be the best policy on that one.
Okay, great.
The Bills category has been popular, and I wasn't prepared for it.
Okay, great. Clint, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it. We are behind here, so we're going to keep going as fast as we can. We go to John next up on Sports Radio 810. That question is out there and available. John, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with, sir?
I'll start with leisure, and I'll do the famous Bills.
Good thing you were just looking up more famous Bills questions.
I had
two of them.
I did have this one. No, I did have this one. I'm afraid that if it gets beyond, it might be a problem. William H. Bonney was an outlaw and gunfighter of the American Old West who killed 8 men before he was shot and killed at the age of 21. That's a pretty young age to go.
Yeah.
Yep, he was Billy the Kid.
Billy the Kid, indeed.
Right. Billy the Kid. I heard he's killed more people than smallpox. That's what somebody said about him at one time. I don't think that's true, though.
That seems very unlikely.
Think that is a myth. All right, onto the sports side, sir. We've got Raiders, we got Chiefs, Bills, we got 99 problems, we've got NFL and college football.
Let's try Chiefs, Bills.
Chiefs, Bills. Okay, so his career was in the state of Missouri before he left to play for the Bills. He's very close to Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. And his code could be used to save you.
What in the world? His career was in Missouri.
Mm-hmm. Until he left for Buffalo. So.
Read that one back one more time.
Okay. His career was in the state of Missouri before he left to play for the Bills. He's very close to Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. And his code could be used to save you.
It's Morse, the center from Mizzou.
That's it. Yep. We'll take last names. Mitch Morse. That is correct. That is a winner, right?
What was that? That's a winner. That's Billy the Kid and Mitch Morse. I mean, what else could you ask for in sports or leisure?
Nothing.
What was the very last part of that referring to?
His code. The
Morse
code.
Morse code. That's fantastic.
Yes. John will put you on hold. Get your information. Congratulations, sir. Thank you.
Love that. That's great. I was trying to think of a number. I was like, you think we're what, 61?
Very close to Patrick Mahomes. I was trying to think of where they would put their hands
intimately
as
close.
to how close he is. But I was like, you know what? I'll just leave it as very close.
No, that's good.
Because he is. I mean, those guys are probably what? Girlfriend's wife, Mahomes and Allen are the ones that have been as close to Mitch Morse.
Is there anything I can say here that would be
Lucas
funny and not
next
offensive?
up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Sports or leisure, Lucas? What side do you want to start with?
Speaking of really close, did you see what Daniel Jones did to his center last week?
Oh, no.
Got his butt all red from his hand.
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
No, I
Wow.
didn't.
Yeah,
Let me figure out how to Google that.
They've always said that center was a red ass. Sorry, that was bad.
Can I take
That was for Jason, not for you.
Sorry about that.
That's bad.
All right, what category
Daniel Jones gets blood on his center's butt is a YouTube video with 30,000 views.
Yeah, don't Twitter search that.
No, really don't. Oh, man.
All right,
it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah, nope, not doing it. All right, what side do you want to start with? What category?
Can I get that Chiefs Raiders question?
Yes. Let's see. Where is that one at? Okay, very good. Another dramatic ending for the Chiefs. What player dove over the pile at the goal line as time expired to win the game 27-23?
Larry Johnson.
That is correct. Larry Johnson scored the touchdown. Oh, yeah, that's a rough look for Feliciano. Bye, Feliciano. On to the leisure side with Josh.
We got Marvel questions, famous bills, commonly misspelled words. Let's get Greeky in the pun name game.
Let's go with Marvel.
I gotta scroll all the way down here. What fake name does Natasha use when she first meets Tony Stark in Iron Man 2? I can't believe that anyone knows this, and you sounded like you had a pretty good idea, so that's incredible already.
Not Natasha, it was Natalie Rushman.
Yes, unbelievable. I don't know.
Wow.
I couldn't remember Natasha's actual last name for money at this moment. Natalie Rushman, indeed. That's a winner right there. And you brought a fun fact, a good YouTube video link for us. What a performance.
I was going to go with Brock Middlebrook.
That was actually my answer.
Not correct. Lucas will put you on hold. Congratulations, sir. Thank you. Ron Mexico, also a guess.
Ron Mexico would have been pretty good.
Was also wrong as well.
Dominant performance from Lucas.
How about that? Well done.
Wow. From Daniel Jones and Feliciano's bloody butt to
that's right.
The answers.
That's Larry Johnson to Tanasha Rushmore. Let's go to Charles next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Charles, sports or leisure? What side do you want to start with?
Let's do leisure and commonly misspelled word.
Spelling.
Okay, this time in the spelling bee, I'm going to need you to spell actually a proper noun. Don't worry about the capitalization. First letter is a C. I'll give you that. In Connecticut.
Connecticut. Oh, crap. CONN. CONNECTICUT.
Nice job.
Nice. Well done.
We're always taught to break it up for whatever reason. Connect, I cut.
Yeah, I do that with
the
second month of the year, which might end up being a word on here. I think I've done it before, actually, with February.
February? That doesn't make different words, though.
Connect, I cut. You're right. You have three full different words in there.
That's exactly right.
BEA-utiful was a big one for me.
BEA-utiful. Raspberry, because a lot of people forget the P in raspberry.
But connect, I cut is a good one.
Main 10 and that's.
Main 10.
You really are just absolutely filled with surprises.
All right, on to the sports side. What category are you thinking, Charles?
Let's try college football.
All right, college football. All right, so Adrian Martinez, 300 rush yards and 7 touchdowns over a 2-game stretch this year. He's the third quarterback in the last 15 years to do that. Name either of the other 2 quarterbacks to have 300 rush yards and 7 touchdowns in back-to-back games. Total. Not 300 yards and 7 touchdowns each in those games, but total. Name either of the quarterbacks to do that in the last 15 years.
Back-to-back games?
Yeah, just back-to-back games in which the total was more than 300 rush yards and more than 7 touchdowns. By a quarterback.
Patrick Mahomes?
It was not Patrick Mahomes. It was the rush yards. It's the 300 rush yards and 7 touchdowns or more in a 2-game stretch. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? With rush yards alone, you want to throw another dart? If I say it's just the rush yards.
Just the rush yards.
So 300 or more rushing yards over a 2-game stretch with 7 touchdowns or more.
The running back from Michigan.
He is also incorrect.
Damn.
Charles, thank you for playing. It also wasn't Dam. Jeff Dam is who he was thinking of.
Did he play at UConn?
No.
Okay, that might have helped. I don't know. He was pretty confident in getting Connecticut.
But he wasn't, though. He's like, oh, wow, let me think about this.
You know what? He got Connecticut.
Let me think about this. All right, that question is out there. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
If I can't be here to try to get you on a technicality once per show, what the bleep is the point of me being here?
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. The Zone, Sports or Leisure on a Thursday. The program with Ren Petro comes your way next. And then tonight, we've got Commanders and Bears. So everybody get ready for that one. I hope you are strapped in tight because that is going to be a high-flying, back-and-forth, high-scoring affair.
Hope you are strapped to a table because you're not going to want to go anywhere.
That's right. 913-3810810. We go to the phone lines and play one more segment of Sports or Leisure. Got time for a couple of more contestants. Let's bring in Derek next up on Sports Radio 810 for $25 at Johnny's Tavern. Derek, Sports or Leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Hey, let's start with sports. Can we do Chiefs Raiders?
Yes, Chiefs Raiders. You know what? Let's piggyback off that dramatic ending with Larry Johnson. In that same game, it was very emotional for the team. While Larry Johnson had 155 total yards and 2 touchdowns, Dick Vermeil gave Trent Green the game ball. Do you know why Trent Green was given the game ball after that game in which Larry Johnson was dominant? And an emotional ending, and part of why Dick Vermeil said, you know what, we're going for it.
Was it Trent Green's 100th career victory?
It was not. It was a very emotional day for Trent Green. It turned out to be a very emotional day for the Chiefs overall because of Trent Green.
Oh, had his father passed away.
His father passed away a couple days before that, and he still went out and played, and Dick Vermeil was like, you know what, we're going for it. We're going for the win. And then Trent Green talked about his dad was there with him, and they were going to win no matter what. So he got the game ball that day, even though Larry Johnson was the biggest reason why they ended up winning. On to Leisure with Josh.
Marvel, spelling bee, Greeky, pun name game, famous Bills.
Gotta go famous Bills, please.
Let's close out the category. William Sanford, the educational gentleman, has been teaching children about things like chemistry and biology on TV for years.
I'm going to say that we're going to go, Oceans of Fun is going to guess Bill Nye, the science guy.
There you go. That is right.
Bill.
You guys are so excited about that.
Beards loves Bill Nye. I was only allowed to watch him later.
You big Bill Nye fan?
Bill Nye was great growing up.
Cool.
I was homeschooled. He was my science teacher.
Derek, we'll put you on hold and get your information. Congratulations, sir. That's great. Barney was music class.
That's right. Yes, I love you.
Let's go to music class with Barney.
A little flat, Josh.
Yeah, come on. I don't love your voice. I know that. $100 a week for singing lessons. This is what I get. You know what? You're not even good looking when you're singing either. I can't even look at you. Let's go to Ryan next up on Sports Radio 810. $25 Johnny's Tavern. Ryan, Sports or Leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Let's go Leisure.
Okay, let's go Marvel, spelling bee. Let's get Greeky or the pun name game.
Spelling bee.
Okay. This one makes me laugh every time I see it, so let's go ahead and spell zucchini.
Z-U-C-C-H-I-N-I.
Well done.
I'm learning that I might not be as good a speller as I thought I was.
No, I mean, you're taking a lot of people that think they're pretty good at spelling that are
that's true.
I mean,
you guys
if you're
have
bad
been
at spelling,
nailing
you
it,
shouldn't
though.
ask for the spelling.
Fair enough.
So,
good point.
That's how I would have spelled it, but I would have started to doubt myself whether it was 2 N's or 1, but I would have gone with the 1 in. All right, on to the sports side. Ryan, what category are you thinking?
Let's do Chiefs Raiders.
Chiefs Raiders. Okay, so 2003 on Monday Night Football, the Chiefs beat the Raiders to move to 7-0 on the season. It was as close as you can get as the Raiders drove the length of the field to set up one play with 7 seconds left to win the game. What player for the Raiders caught the ball and was tackled inside the 1-yard line as time expired? And the Chiefs won. A touchdown for the Raiders won the game. Last play of the game, from like 10 yards out. I think they were like at the 10-yard line. He catches the ball. He's going towards the end zone. He was tackled at the half-yard line. Chiefs won. Monday Night Football, 2003.
2003.
Monday Night Football, Raiders. Wide receiver for the Raiders. Here we go. Throw a dart. Wide receiver for the Raiders. Who do you think of for the wide receiver for the Who's that, Tim Brown? Yes, you're right, Tim Brown. Well done.
Hey.
Nice job, Ryan. We'll put you on hold, get your information. Congratulations, sir. Any questions that we did not get answers to, Josh? I think I got answers to all of my questions.
I think I also got answers to all of my questions.
The ones that were out there, at least. I've got plenty of them left over. I mean, you've got like 15 more famous Bills.
I tell you what, I do have a lot of pun name games. Next week, we're going to refeature that. But the famous Bills, I thought that would go potentially weeks. And people are ready for Bills questions.
I have a feeling I'll refeature Chiefs and Bills next week. I have a feeling 99 problems, but touchdown isn't one. Might be refeatured next week.
That one,
well.
the category title's too good to ever let go.
I agree. All right, that'll do it here for a Thursday edition. We will talk to you tomorrow as we get set for Chiefs and Bills coming up on Sunday. Thursday Night Football coming your way right here on Sports Radio 810. Coming up next is the program.
Over, under, Carson Wentz picks. Hammer the over.
B&B Theaters has entertainment.